My daily life in a TV series. This video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 351. It's a good thing to be able to laugh in the ward. What's wrong? Adam's eyes looked a little strange. I need to ask you something. George hesitated. Go ahead. Adam looked at him. I seem to have some skin problems, George said hesitantly. Oh, boy. Adam couldn't help but let out the same sigh as Sheldon. He had guessed something. George obviously understood that Adam probably knew, and said with a red face, it seems to be a rash. I think I know what it is, but I can't get close to see it clearly, so I can't confirm it. Take off your pants. Adam held his forehead. Originally, he was only 80% sure, but now it is 95%. I think I can describe it. It's red. George put his hand on the waistband and didn't move, making the last effort. Since you can describe it and know what it is, just go get treatment. Why are you asking me? Adam didn't want to treat him, so he said one sentence and prepared to leave. He was going to wash his hands. Now, he finally understood Sheldon's cleanliness and obsessive-compulsive disorder. In the world of American TV dramas and movies, washing hands and disinfecting frequently are not just crazy fantasies. In fact, they are really necessary. God knows what will happen. Wait. George stretched out his hand to stop Adam. Adam dodged George's hand with a flash. Stop. George's chubby face was almost bleeding with shame. Adam's reaction said it all. Adam knew that he had gone too far. This was not the reaction of a doctor, but the blind fear of dirty diseases as an ordinary person in his previous life. Now there are two choices. One is that you diagnose it yourself and I'll leave. Seeing George's reaction, Adam's professionalism as a doctor took the upper hand again, and he said in a gentle tone, either you take off your pants and let me check it. No matter what it is, it must be diagnosed and treated as soon as possible. George hesitated for a while, but still untied his belt, turned his head to look at the ceiling, and let Adam observe. So, it looks like a charm poison. Adam had a clue in his heart when he saw it. George also breathed a sigh of relief. He dared to guarantee that there was no such thing before. There was just something indescribable this morning, and now there are symptoms. It should be an early charm poison. The treatment is very simple, just enough penicillin. It's not a terrible, almost terminal disease like AIDS. Don't relax too early, Adam reminded. This is just a rough diagnosis, not 100% sure. You must take a sample immediately, do a pathogen culture, to screen all gonorrhea. You know, gonorrhea is not just a kind of aphrodisiac. Yes. George became nervous again. There is a saying in the hospital, don't get on the bus randomly. Adam asked curiously, so, who gave you such a big gift? I don't know what happened, George said sadly. Olivia. She doesn't look like that kind of person. Only her? Adam's mouth twitched, secretly glad that he stuck to his principles. Olivia was the pretty nurse who admired him and wanted to pursue him. If he hadn't stuck to his principles, maybe he would be the one who got infected now. The hospitals in American TV series and movies are really too chaotic and dangerous. Barney, it looks like he'll win the bet. Of course. George nodded. I'm not the kind of person who does things casually. If we didn't love each other, I wouldn't do this. Are you sure? Adam looked strange. They're still in love after all this. Since George is chaste, the only truth is that Olivia is not chaste. George understood Adam's look, and after a moment of silence, he asked, Adam, what should I do? I've already told you, get screened for gonorrhea first. The sooner you get treated, the better. Adam frowned. I mean Olivia. George struggled. How should I treat her? I still need to think about this. Adam complained. Of course, I need to find out who else she has had unspeakable sex with. He or they. And she all need treatment. Let me make it clear first. Whether you say it or not, I will report this matter. Otherwise it will spread more and more, and the whole hospital will become a virus culture dish. God knows how many people in the hospital have been infected. Although 95% of this dirty disease is transmitted through unspeakable blood and saliva, Other transmission routes cannot be completely ruled out. For example, the clothes of the infected person are contaminated by the aphrodisiac, which is also contagious. A thief can be a thief for 1,000 days, but he can never be a thief for 1,000 days. Adam has been living in this environment for a long time, so he must ensure his safety, reporting to the hospital and letting the hospital take action, treating the disease if there is disease, preventing the disease if there is no disease, and controlling the scope of infection is the best solution. Don't. George was anxious. If you report it, I will be exposed. Do you think you can hide it? Adam looked at him with pity. You want to do a gonorrhea test. You must go to the laboratory for testing, right? In the hospital, news spreads faster than the virus. I can be anonymous, George said unconvinced. Those who do the testing are all old hands. Adam shook his head and said, your expression can't be concealed at all. Besides, we are doctors. It is normal to treat diseases. There is nothing to hide. Anyway, you are not the only one. It's easy for you to say it. George was still reluctant. If he had this psychological quality, he would not have dragged Adam to hide in the ward for examination. Of course it's easy for me to keep myself clean. Adam couldn't help laughing. George paused, speechless. He used to think Adam was a playboy, but he fell for it when faced with this kind of thing, and Adam was very confident that he was fine. This is simply too unscientific. Okay, I won't report it yet. I'll give you an afternoon to get checked first. Adam thought for a moment and said, really? Thank you. George was overjoyed when he heard it. After thanking him, he hurried to get checked. Adam looked at his back and shook his head. It's not that he really considered George, but he thought that maybe he didn't need to take the initiative to report it. As long as George went for a checkup, the news would soon spread throughout the hospital, and the chief surgeon and others would definitely take action. If not, Adam would report it again. After all, reporting such news is not a good reputation, and it will affect one's image to some extent. Facts have proved that Adam's words are not wrong at all. Afternoon, when Adam was washing his hands for the third time, Christina and the other two came over and gossiped. Have you heard? George has the aphrodisiac. Who would have thought that our good boy would become a playboy and an aphrodisiac boy? Ha ha ha. He's lucky. Adam couldn't help laughing. The early stage of aphrodisiac is easy to treat, especially since they are in the hospital and have enough penicillin to kill it completely. If it was other more serious gonorrhea, Liz and the others, as George's friends, would definitely not be able to laugh. P.S. Thanks to Dar_ for the reward. Chapter 352. The famous scene is coming. Medical center. While Adam and the others were talking and laughing, George sneaked over again. Our playboy is here. Liz and George have the best relationship, the kind of best friend. When George is taking a shower in the bathroom, she can brush her teeth and chat beside him. The better the relationship, the happiest they will laugh when encountering embarrassing things of their friends. George's face was very dark, especially when he saw Meredith also smiling at him. Adam, I need your help. Is it about the injection? Adam shook his head and said, for this kind of thing, you should ask Meredith or Liz. They are your roommates and friends. George, I'll help you. Meredith said with a smile. George, I can do it too, Liz said. Then what are you waiting for? Christina smiled and said, hurry up and get the injection. Liz immediately grabbed George and dragged him to the ward next door. What are you doing here? George was half-heartedly pulled in by Liz. Seeing Adam and the others all following in, he was immediately unwilling. Get out. Get out. Stop talking nonsense. Take off your pants. Christina laughed. Liz pushed George from behind and pressed him on the examination bed, and directly took off George's pants. Cute Pippi. Yeah, really good. Really, just like a baby. The three female hooligans officially came online. Don't look at me. Adam stood there with his arms folded. Seeing George looking at him pitifully, he couldn't help laughing and said, if you don't want to fester and become mentally disordered in the future, let them do it. I often fantasize about being in the same room with the three of you, all kinds of unspeakable things. George gave up resisting and let Liz give him an injection on each side. He complained in pain and shame, but the reality is obviously more exciting than fantasy. Don't rush to make it exciting. Adam interrupted with a smile. Have you talked to Olivia? Yes. As soon as George finished the injection, He immediately put on his pants and glared at the 3 female hooligans who were almost laughing crazy. Then he wondered. She didn't say anything. She looked at me and ran away, as if I infected her. Do you think I wronged her? Don't think too much. Adam shook his head and said, in this kind of situation, few people are willing to admit that they passed it on to others. Her reaction is also normal. I just hope that the news will spread and the hospital will take action. Otherwise, God knows how many people will be infected. Anyway, Christina and I will be fine, Liz said confidently. That's one of the benefits of not hooking up with men. Christina's smile froze. I'm fine too, Meredith said dissatisfiedly. I've only done it with Shept, but you can't be sure that Shept has done it with you, Liz said venomously. He's Mr. Dream. Do you mean that the more charming he is, the easier it is to get him? Meredith glanced at Adam. Except for those who are chaste, Liz added. Shept is very chaste. Meredith and Liz started to argue. Beep, beep, beep. At this time, George's pager rang. Then, everyone's pager rang at the same time. Coming. Adam saw that the message on it was to go to the executive meeting room, and he smiled knowingly. George, you're in big trouble this time. After reading the pager message, Liz and the others teased George again. Everyone walked towards the meeting room with laughter. On the way, people kept gathering, and it was obvious that they had received the notice. The large meeting room. A large number of doctors and nurses from the surgery department gathered together. Richard, the chief of surgery, stood there with his arms folded across his chest, looking around at everyone with a dark face, and said word by word, 3 interns, 4 residents, and 6 nurses in the surgery department have all been diagnosed with aphrodisiac poison. This is what we know at this stage. There are more than 70,000 new patients every year. If not treated early, aphrodisiac poison may cause blindness, mental disorder, or even death. The administrative assistant of the chief of surgery, an old lady, was sitting there and continued the chief of surgery, saying, so it must be treated as soon as possible. If you have ever had unprotected and indescribable sex with the surgery department, no, with anyone in the hospital, go get checked immediately. Richard, the chief of surgery, said coldly, this is not a request. Olivia and George looked at each other and turned away angrily. Some people were upset. There were also many people who were confident that they were fine and laughed secretly. First of all, this matter was funny. Secondly, on the old lady's table, there were 2 items commonly used by medical students, a banana and a small square object. They all guessed what would happen next. Sure enough, the development of the matter did not disappoint them at all. Richard, the chief surgeon, rolled his eyes and said helplessly, Patricia will demonstrate to you the indescribable safety. Then he left. They are all doctors and nurses, and this kind of thing is very common. The chief surgeon has seen it all, so he shouldn't behave like this. But it is precisely because it is very common that Richard, the chief surgeon, feels even more ashamed. His subordinates knew everything, but they still made such a big mistake, causing such a large-scale infection, which really made him lose face in the hospital. Now he can only hope that there are not too many surgical staff, and that the internal medicine department will make more trouble. This is really a comparison of the worst. When the time comes, the old lady has picked up the 2 things and started to demonstrate. Gentlemen, you all know when it is. Carefully tear open the package. The popular science is over. Everyone dispersed, and whoever meets the requirements will line up. Adam, you finally came to see me. Barney sat in a wheelchair, being pushed by Adam, and said excitedly, guess how many I have conquered? You will never guess. Not 1, not 2, not 3, but 6. Yeah tilde. He made a 6 gesture, nodded and smiled proudly. Yeah tilde. In just 2 weeks, I have completed most of them. You are doomed to fail. Great. Adam gave a thumbs up. You are convinced. Barney was even happier, then turned his head and looked around, and asked in surprise, where are we going? Take you for a checkup. Adam smiled. What checkup? Barney asked. Then his eyes lit up, and he leaned his head back, pointed to the long line and said, look, the one over there is one of the 6, isn't she beautiful? And there is also that one, and that one. Hey, why are they all here to line up? Without waiting for Adam to explain, his eyes lit up. Is it some kind of hospital multi-person party? Nice Adam, Give me a high five. Sorry, I can't do it. Adam shook his head. Why? Barney was dissatisfied. Adam handed Barney a selected album of aphrodisiac photos. Come, take a look at this first. No. Soon, Barney's painful cry broke through the sky again, piercing through the universe, breaking the fourth wall. Peas. Thanks to Cayman 2 for the reward. Chapter 353. I always feel like you are bullying the medical center. At night, Ted, Matthew, and Lee had come over after hearing the news. Ouch, so disgusting. Take it away. They flipped through the various gonorrhea symptoms atlases that Adam had placed in Barney's ward, and everyone felt overwhelmed. Barney, are you okay? Ted looked at Barney, who was lying motionless on the bed with unfocused eyes, with concern. Since Barney had a fracture and was admitted to the hospital, and made a bet with Adam, he had put all his energy in the hospital. The Barney Stinson who used to come to him every night, calling him legendary and asking him to suit up, and who he disliked, had disappeared for a long time. Ted said that he missed him very much. If you don't cherish what you get easily, you will regret it when you lose it. Barney's favor for Ted, and his insistence on replacing Matthew as Ted's best friend, was too proactive. Ted was always half-hearted and disliked it from time to time. This is simply a replica of the relationship between a goddess and a spare tire. Now that the spare tire Barney's love road has been blocked and he is feeling sad, the goddess Ted thinks it's time to take the initiative a little bit. Let the spare tire Barney feel the warmth from the goddess, and honestly be a spare tire for her, and don't think about climbing up the ladder. I'm fine, Barney murmured with a trembling voice. I'll go call Adam. Lily saw that Barney was not in a good state, turned around and left the ward to find Adam. It's all Adam's fault, Ted complained. If he hadn't insisted on making a bet with Barney, Barney wouldn't have been infected with the aphrodisiac and suffered a great blow. You can't say that. Matthew spoke for Adam. I don't think Adam knew either. He just wanted to punish Barney by making a bet. After all, the last time Barney participated in the death baby car race, he killed 2 innocent passers-by, and they were the pillars of 2 families. Can't you punish him in a different way? Ted still wanted to redeem his spare tire, so naturally he didn't say the spare tire's fault, but just kept attacking Adam, the rival who seduced his spare tire. It's too much to bet on this kind of thing every time. If not this, what else can you bet on? Adam's voice came from outside. Ted looked over with a guilty conscience. Adam, dressed in a white coat, walked in and looked at Ted with a smile. Besides this, what else can make Barney remember? Tell me one, so that I can learn something. Ted was stagnant and speechless. Barney is a carefree person, and he really doesn't care about anything except this. Adam, is Barney's disease really okay? Matthew changed the subject. It's okay, but it's also a big deal. Adam put away his smile and said solemnly. Lily was surprised and said, what's the big deal? Barney is lucky this time, Adam said expressionlessly. He just got a single aphrodisiac, and he happened to be in the hospital, so he could be cured. What if he got a more serious gonorrhea, mixed gonorrhea, or even AIDS? You have seen the picture album, right? You should have some pictures of that situation, right? The pictures in the picture album flashed through Lily and the other 2's minds, and they all shuddered. It's not that exaggerated, is it? Ted couldn't help but retort. How can he be so unlucky? Exaggerated? Unlucky? Adam sneered. Barney picks up girls every night. Over the years, he has almost played in half of New York. Is this exaggerated? Even if he was not so unlucky at the beginning, with such a large base, isn't it inevitable that he will get sick? You should say that Barney has only been infected with aphrodisiac until now. Isn't this too lucky? You don't really think Barney is the son of the goddess of luck, don't you? Without the halo of the protagonist, Barney's actions are 100% infected with gonorrhea, and AIDS is not surprising at all. In the past, Barney positioned himself as a supervillain, who could be unrestrained and do whatever he wanted, and nothing would happen. But when he ran into Adam, the screenwriter used the extremely unfriendly complex of the screenwriter towards medical staff in American TV dramas and movies to collide with Barney's aura of the villain. and Barney was immediately infected. Ted was speechless. New York is a city of indulgence. Barney's style of playing for only one night is completely consistent with those who also like to play and are particularly prone to illness. They didn't think about it at first, but Adam broke it. It's really not knowing, and it's shocking to think about it. Looking at it this way, Barney really seemed to be the son of the goddess of luck before. Ted, you should stand on my side. Adam patted Ted's shoulder and smiled meaningfully. With Barney's style, no matter whether you were in the past, you will definitely be in the same boat in the future. If Barney gets it, then you will get it too. Do you think so? No. Ted trembled all over and screamed in fear. I mean, I can't be in the same boat with Barney. We have the brother code. After Ted shouted, he caught a glimpse of Adam's smile and felt deeply offended, so he quickly explained. TSK, you still believe in Barney's brother code? Adam said in amazement. Okay, let's just say that Barney will abide by the brother code, but I remember that the brother code only stipulates things like current girlfriends, and you still have the possibility of becoming like-minded people. So, I think you should stand on my side. What do you think? Ted, I think Adam is right. Lily was the first to agree. Barney can't play so recklessly anymore, otherwise he will inevitably get a disgusting disease, and this time he got poisoned with aphrodisiac is a warning. Yeah, Matthew nodded in agreement. If you can find your own Lily like me and live happily together, wouldn't that be great? Ted was somewhat tempted. After all, the last time Lily and Matthew remarried, it stimulated him to want to find his own Lily, and he didn't agree with Barney's crazy play. What should we do? Lily and the others have been with Ted for too long, and have witnessed too many of each other's firsts. With just a glance from Ted, she knew what was going on, so she asked with a smile, supervise him. Adam said with a smile, inject a sufficient amount of penicillin once a week for the first 3 weeks. Although it is theoretically fine, you need to check it again every 3 months and 6 months. In 3 years, you need to check it again every 6 months. Therefore, it is best not to do anything unspeakable in the first 6 months to avoid infecting others. You don't want to see others get hurt, right? So you have to supervise him well. Lily and the other two looked at Barney with sympathy, but still nodded and agreed. This is the moral bottom line that people should have, and they naturally cannot refuse. Barney, suddenly something like this happened. Our previous bet is invalid. You have completed most of it in 2 weeks, so you win. Adam looked at Barney, who had been absent-minded, and put the crown on Barney's head. Look, this is the crown I lost to you. I'll put it on you. I admit that you are the strongest. At this point, he raised 2 thumbs. Everyone was speechless. They always felt that Adam was bullying Barney, and it was not the first time. Chapter 354, Angry Birds bid farewell to Lily and the others, leaving the ward. Adam felt refreshed. Every time he was annoyed by Barney's excessive behavior, he wanted to punish Barney. Although the punishment was always delayed, it was never absent. It was fun to be rude to others, and it was fun to be rude to others all the time. It was nothing more than that. In the corridor, hey, is there an operation tonight? Adam saw Meredith walking towards the operating room and asked curiously. No. Meredith shook her head. Come on. Adam spread his hands and said, are you afraid that I will snatch your operation? No. Meredith glanced at Adam and said, I can't say it. Then she walked around Adam. After walking a few steps, she turned back and said with a smile, and, yes, even if I could say it, I wouldn't say it. Last time, she and her boyfriend, Dr. Shept, had discussed it on the bed and were ready to have the operation together, but Adam had cut them off. She would never forget it. Another operation by Dr. Shept? Adam smiled at Meredith's back. Meredith didn't even turn around. She stretched out her hands and raised 2 middle fingers. Looks like it's a secret operation, Adam thought. Some celebrities or people with special identities, in order to keep secrets, are just like this mysterious. After thinking about it, he gave up. Although he likes to do surgery, he doesn't need this one alone. Many times, secrets mean trouble. He's too lazy to get involved. Dressing room. Adam was changing clothes when George and Alex walked in. Dude, I think you should be grateful. The charmer is the best thing that has ever happened to you. Alex said seriously. Think about it. Those women used to think you were gay, but now you are a playboy in their eyes. They call me the charmer boy, George said unhappily. You said it too, boy, Alex said with a sly smile. Not a girl, not gay, that's enough. And the poison boy is just like Superboy, but a sick version. Then what are you? George countered. A dunk collector? A gay with an ass? Watch your words. Alex's face darkened, and he threatened coldly. Otherwise I'll let you know what a real dunk collector and a gay with an ass is. George lowered his head, not daring to look directly at Alex. In fact, it's not Liz's fault that they all treat him as a gay bestie. It's really that George's temperament is too feminine, without any rigidity, and he can't win over Liz and the others, and they play around with him. Not to mention facing the ferocious Alex, he didn't dare to talk back. Bang! Adam slammed the locker shut, announcing his presence. George's face lit up. Adam, you're here too. Are you ready to get off work? Yeah. Adam glanced at Alex, who looked unhappy, and smiled. Do you know what Meredith is busy with at night? I don't know. George was stunned, shook his head and said, I haven't heard. Okay. Adam nodded and said no more. He just asked casually, let's go. See you tomorrow. Wait for me. I'll go with you. George quickly opened the locker, without changing the blue shirt inside, put on the coat, and walked out with Adam under Alex's contemptuous eyes. Outside the hospital gate, George, Olivia stopped him. You guys chat. Adam smiled and walked away. The previous incident, George hesitated to speak, but was interrupted by Olivia. George, I hope you know. Olivia hesitated and said, we couldn't help ourselves in the early morning. I was dating someone else before. At first, I didn't think I would like you so much. Later, when I realized it, I broke up with him immediately. Others? George frowned immediately. Who is he? Olivia stopped talking. Could it be Adam? George looked at Adam, who was standing outside the car not far away and had not left yet. I remember you liked him. No. Olivia's face darkened. George cursed himself for being stupid. If that person was really Adam, how could Olivia break up with Adam for him? He knew too well the feeling of secretly loving someone and not getting a response. Sorry. George apologized immediately. Nothing. Olivia laughed at herself and said, now that I think about it, it was a good idea for Dr. Duncan to look down on us and not want to date a colleague. Who is that man? George turned the topic back. Olivia hesitated for a moment and said a name. Alex? George was stunned at first, with an expression of "Are you kidding me?" Then he saw that Olivia didn't seem to be joking, and his voice immediately became louder. Alex? Thinking of the past, Alex had ridiculed him for having the aphrodisiac poison. But the truth is that Alex is the real source of the aphrodisiac poison. A nameless anger instantly filled George's body and mind. Alex. George turned and ran to the hospital. George. Olivia was shocked. She really didn't expect George to react so much. She chased after George. Over there, Adam, who had been listening to gossip remotely, was also a little amused. This was really unexpected. But think about it, it was unexpected and reasonable. Alex was originally a playboy, but he didn't line up for testing, except that he knew he must have it and had already injected himself with penicillin for treatment. Is there any other explanation? In other words, Alex just cried thief and laughed at himself, and Adam didn't even notice the problem for a while. With these thoughts flashing through his mind, Adam was in no hurry to go back, and quickly followed. Looking at George's appearance, the scene that was about to happen must be very exciting. As George's friend, he had to help out. He was definitely not there to join in the fun and be a spectator. In the corridor, Alex, who had changed his clothes, walked over and faced George, who was running towards him. Alex! George yelled, and launched a brutal collision, and threw himself over and knocked Alex down, raised his fist high, and punched Alex directly in the face. You infected me with the aphrodisiac, you bastard. Alex never thought that the sissy George would also be so strong, and he was hit hard in the eye socket without checking for a moment. After all, he practiced wrestling, and after being punched, he reacted immediately, raised his arms with both hands, and blocked all of George's next punches. With a fierce look in his eyes, he was about to fight back and give George a hard blow. George, don't do that. The fist had just been thrown out, but George, who was on top of him, had already floated back lightly, perfectly avoiding his fist. Squinting his other intact eye, Alex was almost angry to death. But he saw Adam stretched out his hand to block George, as if he was trying to stop the fight, but the gloating in Adam's eyes was too dazzling. P.S. Thank you SSGO for the reward. Chapter 355 There is only one truth. Medical Center. In the corridor, the noise was so loud that it had already alarmed countless onlookers, especially George's ambiguous roar. It made the eyes of the onlookers look meaningful. What's going on? George was infected with aphrodisiac by Alex. What? Are you kidding? The biggest way of spreading aphrodisiac is indescribable, and it's an unprotected indescribable way. George was infected by Alex? Doesn't it mean? Well, now you should understand, right? What protection do they need? It must be an unprotected indescribable way, otherwise, why do you think there is true love between gays? But all kinds of chaos and gonorrhea infection rates are much higher than normal men and women. Hee. Dule hates them so much. If everyone learns from them, these manufacturers will go bankrupt. Ha ha ha. We all know that George is gay, but Alex? I really can't tell. What's so strange about this? Playboys like Alex have always been all-inclusive, regardless of gender. He wants to try it. Does George dare to resist? I think it's normal too. Alex was originally punished to be a dung collector for a week, but now it has been extended to 2 weeks and 3 weeks, and there is even a trend of continuing to do it. Don't you think it's strange? What do you mean? He was punished because he repeatedly offended Dr. Burke. This is normal thinking, or Alex wants you to think so. Combined with this scene, the truth is out. You mean, Alex fell in love with the job of a dung collector, and then he deliberately angered Dr. Burke again and again to prolong the punishment. Puff. Don't laugh. Even if you laugh, don't laugh in my face. Sorry, I really can't help it. Don't be surprised. Maybe the first punishment was unintentional, but what about after that? Unless he is a fool, or really likes to do this. Otherwise, I really can't understand. A mere intern? How dare he offend Dr. Burke again and again? He is too bold, right? Yes, he is definitely not a fool, otherwise he can't be a doctor. So what is he trying to do? He knew that doing so would definitely offend Dr. Burke and bring punishment, but he did it again and again. So, if we remove the surface, combine all the evidence, and exclude other answers, no matter how ridiculous the remaining answers are, there is only one truth. He likes to be a dung collector. He has gone from normal orientation to mixed orientation, and now he has plunged into true gay and will never look back. Or, this is the real Alex. At the beginning, he was just like many closeted people who didn't come out, and he didn't dare to face this fact. Now he is free and chooses to face his true self bravely. It seems to be true. Great, your logical reasoning is so strong. You can definitely do comprehensive diagnosis in the future. Maybe you can be another Dr. House. Haha, it's easy. I just made a random inference. It's not difficult at all. There's nothing I can do. The evidence is so obvious. It's too dazzling. I can't even pretend to see it. George roared, and was forcibly deduced the only truth by a group of logical geniuses. Alex's mental journey and the love and hatred between him and George were constantly deciphered in the gossip. The Eastern Saint taught the 8 trigrams to calculate the world, but when it came here, it was used by a group of spectators to decipher freedom and love, which was really sad. Asshole. Alex was already angry, and now the gossip around him was not quiet enough, and it was clearly heard by him. How could he hold it back? He rushed forward with his fist clenched. Back off, Alex. Adam stretched out his palm and made a stop gesture. Go to hell. Alex saw that Adam was trying to stop him, and his fist hit Adam's face. Compared to George who punched him, he hated this face more. Extremely disgusted. Ah, Dr. Duncan, be careful. After Alex changed his target, a group of female spectators immediately exclaimed. The uniform shouting made the male spectators lose the fun of eating melons for a while. Do you have to be so uniform? Do you think you are a cheerleading team? Hit him hard. Yes, hit him in the face. He's still smiling at them. That's too much. You still dare to show off? Hit him harder. Hit him so hard that even the plastic surgeon can't fix it. Let's see if they'll still be confused. The male spectators looked at each other, and because they had the same goal and the same purpose, They all entered the realm of eye contact in an instant. They were full of malice towards Adam. Adam actually fully understood their resentment. It has been 9 years since he traveled through time, and he has long been used to it. Yes, at this critical moment, when the fist was about to hit him, Adam not only had the mood to smile back at the female colleagues who supported him, but also had the leisure to pay attention to the psychological activities of the male colleagues. No other reason. Alex's fist was too slow. Before, when his IQ exceeded 180 and he was promoted to a super genius, Adam felt that the world had slowed down in his eyes for a moment, but he recovered quickly. He didn't take it seriously at first, but now, he understood that it was not an illusion. His perception has indeed greatly increased. Moreover, when he actively or passively concentrates, his thinking nerves will speed up comprehensively. His thinking speeds up, and his reaction speed, which is already better than that of ordinary people, creates this bullet time-like effect. It's not that Alex's fist is slow, but that Adam's thinking is too fast. In the treasure hunt game organized by Rajesh in The Big Bang Theory, the questions asked by geniuses need to calculate for a while, but Sheldon, a super genius, can get the answer directly after just one glance. Why? Isn't it because Sheldon's brain thinks too fast? Without such a fast and powerful brain thinking, how can he evolve the Big Bang in his mind? The basic hardware of Adam's brain is now at the same level as Sheldon, and his muscle speed is not comparable to Sheldon, who feels that he has gone out for activities just by opening the door, taking a deep breath, and then going back. Of course, with Adam's current ability, even if he can see the trajectory of the bullet, it is still impossible to really avoid the bullet due to the speed of ordinary people, unless he can see and react in advance before the bullet is fired. But Alex's fist is obviously not a high-speed bullet. This kind of attack within the speed of ordinary people was too slow for Adam, who could try to dodge bullets to a certain extent. "I'm just trying to stop the fight." Adam smiled and turned sideways, narrowly avoiding Alex's fist, and did not forget to tease, "Why do you even hit the one trying to stop the fight?" "I'm hitting you." Alex's punch missed, and he threw another punch, but it missed again. Looking at Adam's smiling face close at hand, Alex became more and more angry. He ignored George's confused face and attacked Adam like crazy. However, he didn't even touch the corner of his clothes. "What are you doing?" At this time, the boss in the hospital was also alarmed. It was Dr. Burke who came. "Stop." Alex was a little angry and ignored him. Dr. Burke said stop. Adam turned sideways to avoid Alex's attack again, and stretched out his hand to press on Alex's back, pressing Alex to the wall. "What's going on?" Dr. Burke asked with a dark face. Adam told the story again, and many female colleagues beside him echoed and supplemented. Dr. Burke immediately understood the whole story. "It's you again." Dr. Burke stared at Alex, who was pressed against the wall. He never expected that this scandal in the surgery department or the entire hospital might be caused by Alex. Before, he proposed to the chief of surgery to persuade Alex to quit, but was rejected by the chief of surgery. Now, he wants to see what attitude the chief of surgery, who was embarrassed by the scandal, would have. Thinking of this, Dr. Burke smiled coldly at Alex. P.S. Thank you SSGO for the reward. Chapter 356 The Devil is in the Details. Medical Center. "Dr. Duncan, let him go." Dr. Burke tilted his head towards Adam. Adam nodded and let go. Alex rubbed his face that was rubbed by the wall, turned his head, glared at Adam first, and saw Dr. Burke's sneer, and his head drooped again. He used to like wrestling, and he believed that the bigger the fist, the truth. Just now, Adam pressed him with one hand, and he couldn't move at all. In addition, he punched so many times that he didn't even touch the corner of Adam's clothes. How could he not understand that Adam stood on the side of truth? And Dr. Burke was the big boss after all, and he didn't dare to face the other's anger. A farce came to an abrupt end. "Great, George." After the song ended, Liz came over and hugged George, praising and teasing. "I don't want to talk about this." George frowned. Alex heard the gossip of the onlookers, and he naturally heard it. He suddenly felt a little regretful. No one who heard it questioned it, and they all took it for granted. Damn it. Thinking of this, he cursed angrily. Why did he say such ambiguous words? "Don't be angry," Liz comforted. You punched Alex like that. Everyone knows you are a man." Christina was stabbing him. When George heard it, he immediately glared at Christina. "Stop it. Do you think Alex will be fired this time?" Liz changed the subject. "Who knows?" Christina pouted and said, "But Burke is really angry this time. Do you think Alex is really what they said?" Liz's attention turned back to the gossip. "Otherwise I really can't understand why Alex is so brave. You should ask George about this." Christina stabbed again. "He knows best." George exploded when he heard it. If Liz hadn't held him tightly, he would have rushed directly to Christina. "Adam, what do you think?" Liz was a good girlfriend after all. She comforted George in a few seconds and looked at Adam again. "It's hard to say." Adam shook his head and laughed. "For a scoundrel like him who likes to play outside, it's very likely that he can do anything. But to say that he likes to be a dung collector and deliberately angers Dr. Burke is a bit presumptuous." "Then why did he do that?" Liz asked in confusion. "It's simple. It's his personality. He can't control himself." Adam shrugged. "If he could control himself, he would never do such a self-destructive thing. And it's one after another. Endless." "Let's go to Joe's bar and celebrate," Liz suggested. "No, I have something else to do." Adam declined. He now has a large part of his energy spent on learning mathematics. Mathematics is vast. Even if Adam's brain hardware has reached the same level as Sheldon and Peggy, it is difficult to have a common language with them without enough long-term hard work. After all, they have been concentrating on studying and researching with this kind of brain for more than 10 years, and it has been going on. Adam usually works 566 hours a day. 13 hours a day. After deducting 2 hours of scattered time, the remaining 9 hours require 3 hours of rest as regular sleep time for his show-off endurance. Even if Adam does not learn from Giselan, there are only 6 hours left, which is barely half a day of Sheldon and Peggy's study and thinking time. If there were no bottlenecks and boundaries in the study and research of knowledge, Adam would probably never catch up with them in his life. Fortunately, Adam did not really want to surpass them. His small goal was to have a common language with Peggy. In addition, he also has a foundation in mathematics, not starting from scratch. As long as he is willing to work hard for a few years, there is still hope, and his IQ is constantly improving, and this time will be shorter than expected. Interpersonal communication is indeed important, but compared with the improvement of one's own strength, it can only take a back seat. Besides, going out to play together at every turn is the way of hardcore friends. For example, the 6-member group of old friends, the 5-member group looking for mothers, and the 7-member group of the Big Bang Theory. Adam just wants a good relationship with colleagues, not to form a group of doctor friends. Not to mention that Christina, Liz, Meredith, and George all have their own problems. Even if they are as good-natured as Chandler and Monica, he would not do that, because unlike Chandler and Monica, Adam and them are colleagues first, and then they can be friends or even good friends. Friends are simple, while colleagues are much more complicated. The fierce competition between each other is a gap. In fact, this is not a big deal. After all, the internship is only 1 year. When the internship is over, the residency training will begin. At that time, if you are not in the same department, the conflict will not be too big. But there is still a most critical and fatal problem. When your good friend asks you for help, you will help, but this favor may affect your career, so will you still help? A very simple example. In the previous death baby car race, Christina and Liz directly violated Dr. Burke's medical advice in order to replace the heart of the VIP patient of the chief of surgery, and extended the life of the worst passerby. At that time, if they needed Adam's help, would he help or not? No. Even if they didn't say it, they must have a knot in their hearts. But helping is totally impossible, because Adam can't afford the risk, even the slightest risk. Another example, the hospital has already issued a mandatory 566 regulation, but Christina and the others usually ignore it in order to learn more. For ordinary doctors, this is too normal. Even their boss, Dr. Natalie Bailey, who has always been old-fashioned, has tacitly agreed to their practice. Because Dr. Bailey came from this experience, she sincerely believes that interns and even residents should stay in the hospital all the time, otherwise how can they be called residents? Once there is one, there will be two, And once there is 2, there will be 3. In just over 2 months of internship, they have already done more than 3 illegal things. In this case, Adam thinks it is better to keep a certain distance from them. Distance creates beauty. The rejection of a good friend makes people feel uncomfortable and affects the relationship. But the rejection of a good colleague, as long as the rejection is reasonable, not personal, and consistent, then they will only think that Adam is upright enough, and after getting over the initial discomfort, they will admire Adam. The devil is in the details. After Adam broke up with them, he returned to the apartment, washed and disinfected his hands repeatedly several times before starting to take a bath. While enjoying the bath, he held a math book in his hand, his mind immersed in the exploration of the fundamental mysteries of the universe. Chapter 357. Who is the doctor? The next day, medical center, Green Clinic. Adam, you come to the ward today. Resident Dr. Gzwi arranged. Okay. Adam nodded. There will definitely be another good case today. Bald Chris couldn't help but complain. No matter how good it is, it can't be better than mine. Fatty Stu laughed obscenely. There is a breast augmentation operation in the plastic surgery department today. This is a small step for me, but a big step for the happiness of Hollywood actresses. Since you like it so much, just add one more when you augment your girlfriend in the future. Bald Chris teased. Big and many, you must love it. Good idea. Fatty Stu was not angry, but his eyes lit up, touched his double chin, thought about it, and suddenly clapped his hands. The other one will be augmented in the middle, so that, at this point, he stretched out his hands and made the famous stunts of Zhu's version of Wei Ziabao, and his head was shaking. The movements and expressions were so obscene that everyone felt uncomfortable and left directly, unwilling to pay attention to this overly obscene fat man. As soon as the ward was round, Adam knew that Bald Chris's complaints were correct. Today, there is a really good case. Tell me about the situation. Leonard nodded to Adam when he came to work and made rounds. 17-year-old, female, hospitalized due to bleeding after root canal treatment, heart murmurs related to fever, body temperature normal after antibiotic treatment. Adam reported. What's your diagnosis? Leonard asked. Maybe a heart valve replacement is needed, Adam said. But considering that the patient has symptoms of hemophilia, a coagulation test is needed to confirm whether blood thinners and artificial heart valves can be used. Very good. Contact the patient's parents and do a checkup first, Leonard ordered. My parents are in the hospital. The girl is also a person of personality, complaining and mocking. They must be in the hospital cafeteria now. My weird dad likes the food in the hospital cafeteria. Okay, contact them. Leonard nodded and left. Adam contacted the girl's parents first, and then arranged various tests for the girl. It was noon in a flash. The hospital cafeteria. Everyone gathered together to eat again. Why is there no movement? Liz pouted at Alex, who was sitting alone and ignored. Usually a piece of news can spread throughout the hospital in an instant. Not to mention the explosive news last night, when everyone knew that Alex was a master of kung fu and the patient zero of the hospital's aphrodisiac incident. Those who were infected hated him. Those who were not infected stayed away from him. Even those who had the same style and didn't mind playing with Alex were afraid that others would say that they were conquered by Alex. Therefore, Alex occupied the entire table alone. Alone. The nickname changed from ruffian and devil at the beginning to bad guy now. The image is vivid and full of connotation. I heard that the director is busy and will be away for a few days. Christina has always been well informed. Dr. Burke couldn't bypass the director and go directly to the dean, so he delayed it. What good luck. Adam couldn't help but sigh. In fact, this kind of thing often ends in nothing once it is delayed. Don't be like this. We are all here together. Meredith had an operation last night, and she was in love with Mr. Dream. Her hormones were perfectly balanced and she was in a good mood. Thinking that everyone's well is the real well, she couldn't help but speak for Alex. He is also one of us. He does have some problems, but I believe that his heart is definitely not as superficial and cold as it seems. Hee. Adam couldn't help laughing when he heard this. What are you laughing at? Meredith looked at Adam unhappily. I'm laughing at your words, too funny. Adam shook his head and smiled. Are you going to say that the reason why he is so superficial and indifferent now is that he must have had an unhappy childhood? Meredith was stunned for a moment, but still nodded. Yes, that's what I think. It's normal. I actually understand him a little, because I have always been a headache, but I'm fine now. People will grow up. We should give others enough tolerance. Hee. Adam couldn't help laughing again. What's wrong? Meredith's face was a little bad. I thought you were joking. Adam looked at her in surprise. Which of my words sounded like a joke? Meredith frowned. All of them. Adam smiled and said, everyone grows up, and we should be tolerant enough of others. This seems to be fine. Very chicken soup. But don't forget, we are doctors, and we control the life and death of patients. If your growth is based on the death of patients who should not die, why should patients pay the price of their lives for your self-healing of your unfortunate childhood? Who is the doctor and who is the patient? If you dare to say this to patients or their families, you will definitely be beaten to death. One of the reasons why a bachelor's degree is required to enter medical school is to set a threshold and limit the admission of people who are too young and mentally immature. Then study for 4 years, and then the residency training is another 7 years, which is also to continuously hone a doctor's skills and the mentality of strictly abiding by the medical process. Try to avoid making patients pay an unbearable price for personal reasons. If you can't do this, why should patients spend money to see you for treatment? If you spend money and still lose your life in vain, no one will go to the doctor. It's better to pray to God. Meredith's words sounded very cliché, but her worldview was completely distorted. Doctors do need a tolerant environment to grow, because no one can guarantee that they won't make mistakes, not even the attending physician. But some mistakes must not be made, and some mistakes are absolutely unforgivable. Otherwise, what is the use of laws? Take Alex's case, for example. First of all, he had no medical ethics, saying that the old man deserved to die and the girl with the tumor was disgusting and perverted. Is this something a doctor can do? Or even a person can do this? Then he neglected his duties twice, almost killing the patient, and had no remorse afterwards, just laughed it off. For this kind of person, can he be forgiven for saying that he had an unhappy childhood and that his superficial indifference on the outside is just pretending? Don't be kidding. It doesn't matter if you pretend or not. Xu Renzhu said, we don't look at what you say, we only look at what you do. If you can cure the patient, no matter how poisonous and indifferent you are, others will recognize and appreciate you. If you can't do it, and still pretends to be indifferent, then you are really indifferent. That's sick. If you are sick, you should go to the doctor. Don't use the patient's life as a tool for self-healing. But when he thought of Meredith's strange behavior of puncturing a patient's heart while napping, Adam felt relieved. Today it was Alex, but who knows if it won't be Meredith tomorrow. When the lips and teeth are gone, the pain will come to the same kind. It's better to be tolerant enough. Anyway, it's not her who will pay the price. Meredith was speechless after being confronted by Adam. Many things are easier to do than to say, once the key is revealed. Unless you are thick-skinned enough, you will turn a blind eye and deaf ear, and regard everything as fake, and everyone around you will either agree or acquiesce. Otherwise, right is right and wrong is wrong. You can't be fooled by a few fake chicken soups. Meredith obviously hasn't reached that level, so she knew Adam was right and she was wrong. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We are waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 358, Giving Face to Others Will Save Your Own Face. Medical Center. Cafeteria. Lunch ended unpleasantly. Adam's reasoning was too straightforward, revealing the stench beneath the delicious chicken soup. Not to mention Meredith, even Liz felt a little uncomfortable. George and Christina didn't feel anything. Christina was a pure strong-willed person, and she was determined to become a famous female doctor, so she naturally looked down on people like Alex, and she was confident that she would not make the same low-level mistakes as Alex. Without taking it personally, she naturally didn't feel offended. As for George, although he was a sissy, he was still upright and his values were normal. He supported Adam's words. What's the point of growing up for someone like Alex who has no medical ethics? To harm people? In just over 2 months, He, who has no ability, has been watched by residents and attending doctors, and the harm has been so great. If he really grows up, the greater the ability, the greater the responsibility, but also the greater the harm. Green Clinic. This is the result of the examination. Adam handed the examination sheet to Leonard. The patient cannot undergo an artificial heart valve transplant. It doesn't matter, we can use a pig valve. Leonard glanced at the examination sheet and smiled. I'm afraid not. Adam shook his head and said, the patient Davo struggled to get up from the bed in the morning and afternoon, and insisted on praying in front of the window. She is a devout Orthodox Jew. She even wants to change her name to Esther. I'm afraid it will be difficult to get her to use a pig valve. Esther was the queen of ancient Persia, a beautiful and kind Jewish heroine who used her wisdom to save the Jews in Persia and was later written into the Book of Esther in the Old Testament of the Bible. Leonard's mouth twitched, and he obviously knew the origin of this name. Jews think pigs are dirty things. Orthodox Jews are known for their extreme conservatism. Transplanting pig valves into their source of life is absolutely a defilement for them. Leonard had a headache. Try to convince her. If the pig valve can't be used, I think we can consider the cow valve. Adam reminded. Jews don't object, and the effect is better. Cow valve? Leonard frowned. That's a new technology in recent years. Very complicated. Adam understood. Modern medicine is constantly developing, and new ideas and technologies emerge in an endless stream. Therefore, doctors are also a lifelong learning profession. But as you get older, your energy and efficiency in learning will be greatly reduced. Many times, you even feel powerless. Complex major operations often take more than 10 hours or even longer, and it is really difficult for old doctors to do it. Leonard must have said that he has never used a cow valve for surgery, and he is unsure and doesn't want to try it. We can contact experts in this field and give video guidance. There is always a first time. Adam smiled and said, it's also good for me to learn one more technology from you. Of course, it's just as an alternative plan, just in case. Before that, we will try our best to let patients accept the pig valve surgery plan. Well, let's go and take a look first. Leonard smiled and looked at Adam with satisfaction. Although they were all old friends and there were no outsiders present, he was still very pleased that Adam was so considerate to save his face. In the ward, the patient Esther's parents agreed, but Esther was furious. What? You actually agreed? Esther yelled at her parents while holding the baby. This is all to save you. Esther's mother comforted her. Enough, Esther shouted. You don't respect my faith or me at all. You actually allowed them to put a stinky pig in my body, in my heart, a dirty animal that doesn't conform to Jewish law at all. The heart is the source of my life. If it's replaced, what will I become? It's actually just a pig valve, not a whole heart. Adam reminded. I don't care. Esther immediately turned her eyes to Adam and started to complain. It's better for me to die than to install pig parts on me. I said, I shouldn't have let her join the Orthodox Church in the first place. Esther's father couldn't help complaining. It would be better for her to join the Protestant Church like everyone else. You don't even light candles on Friday night, and you can't even remember the 10 plagues of Passover. Esther immediately started to complain to her father. You have all lost your faith. Now you are complaining about me, a person with firm faith. Esther's father and mother both hung their heads and said nothing. They really couldn't afford to offend the verbal attacks of the Jewish Orthodox fanatics. They joined Protestantism instead of Orthodox Judaism, just like most Jewish Protestants, because Protestantism has fewer restrictions and more freedom. In this respect, they have indeed lost their faith. Miss Friedman, Leonard had to speak up. We respect your devout belief, but if you don't have the operation, you will die. Then you can think of a way. Esther didn't want to see God right away, so she said rationally, as long as it doesn't grunt like Wilbur, a pig in a Western fairy tale, I don't care what it is. Adam said nothing, just looked at Leonard. In front of outsiders, especially in front of patients, it is a basic principle to maintain the authority of the superior doctor. If Giobeoiu, the lawless king of the Crimson Cave Flower who was spoiled by grandmother Gia, had not been well-mannered outside, even better than the children of ordinary aristocratic families, and had made grandmother Gia and her family proud, let alone the treatment of being cherished like a treasure, he would have been beaten to death by Grandmother Gia's order. No matter how good Leonard is to Adam, Adam will not be spoiled and destroy some basic principles and bottom lines. On the contrary, he will protect Leonard's face even more. Therefore, even if he knew that the bovine valve could perfectly solve this problem, as long as Leonard did not speak, he would pretend to know nothing in front of the patient and his family, and would not reveal a word. Let's think about it again, Leonard pondered. After that, he took Adam out of the ward. In the office, Adam, since you proposed this surgical plan, you must have done detailed preparations in advance. You should know who the experts in bovine valve surgery are. Leonard walked back and forth a few times, stopped, and looked at Adam. He knew some of Adam's habits. Before he went to medical school, Adam bought a cabin in the woods and hunted animals to practice surgery in order to study several years in advance. Now, he is even more thoughtful and appropriate in everything. Dr. Shep once said that Adam was like a person. Leonard's first thought was the famous Dr. House, and there was a reason. I know. Adam smiled and said, Dr. Chesney from the Cleveland Clinic, Dr. Kins from Johns Hopkins, and Dr. Morton from Massachusetts General Hospital are all experts in this field. Very good. Leonard had obviously made a decision and ordered, please contact them for me. We will study it first. If the problem is not serious, we will use the bovine valve. Chapter 359, Frustrated at Work, Successful in Love. Ward, cow valve. Great. Esther agreed without thinking when she heard that she didn't need the second brother. Okay, it will take an hour to deliver the cow valve, and now we have to prepare to go into the operating room. Leonard smiled. Wait a minute. Esther spoke again. Adam's mouth twitched. He hated this sentence the most. Ms. Friedman, do you have any other questions? Adam smiled professionally. The last question. Esther rolled her eyes at Adam. I can do the operation, but before the operation, an Orthodox Jewish priest must pray for me. No problem. Adam nodded and agreed, smiling at Leonard. Leonard immediately understood. Adam could even make an appointment for the wedding banquet at the Plaza Hotel immediately. So what's so difficult about helping to find an Orthodox Jewish priest? Do whatever you want. The life of the rich is so plain and boring. Do you have faith? Seeing Adam solve the priest problem with a phone call, Esther suddenly asked, I believe in science. Adam smiled. In the West, people with no faith are more eye-catching than pagans. When in Rome, do as the Romans do. When faced with this kind of problem, I always follow Sheldon and others and believe in science, which can save a lot of trouble. After all, science has become a religion. There is nothing wrong with believing in science. Your name is Adam, the first human and the first man in the world, created by God in his own image from dust. Esther looked at Adam's face and murmured absent-mindedly, but do you know what young people are like now? My friends are always flirting with women and living a life of drunkenness and dreams. You must be the same, right? We doctors are busy like dogs every day. How can we have time to flirt with women and live a life of drunkenness and dreams? Adam laughed. I don't believe it. Esther stared at Adam. People like you don't need time to take the initiative to flirt with women. The way those beautiful female nurses look at you is almost eating you up. Okay, it's time to go to the operating room. Adam didn't want to continue this topic. She called herself Esther and called out the origin of Adam's name. It was obvious that Esther was a little obsessed with his face. Not to mention that the operation was about to start. Even if there was no operation, he would not flirt with the patient. Operating room. Esther was lying on the operating table, and a female priest in surgical gown squatted in front of her, holding her hand and praying for her. Adam stood on the other side. An old-fashioned satellite TV was placed there, and Dr. Chesney from the Cleveland Clinic was already in place, ready to guide the bovine valve transplantation operation online. The prayer was over. Esther turned her head and looked at Adam. Adam smiled at her. Let's get started. Leonard, as the chief surgeon, began to give orders. The anesthesiologist immediately put the anesthesia mask on Esther's face, and the anesthetic gas was released, anesthetizing Esther instantly. She's ready, the anesthesiologist reminded. This is Dr. Chesney from the Cleveland Clinic. He is an expert in bovine valve transplantation. He will assist us online through satellite TV. Leonard introduced the situation to all the medical workers in the operating room. Complex operations require high coordination of manpower. Before the operation, it is necessary to let everyone know the surgical process and perform their duties. Before Adam entered the operating room, Leonard asked him to repeat the surgical process and key points, as well as some possible emergency response measures, to ensure that everything was foolproof. "Thank you, Doctor." Leonard thanked Dr. Chesney, who was far away in Cleveland. "First, open the chest and start extracorporeal circulation. We will cut the left atrium horizontally to expose the valve." As Dr. Chesney's instructions sounded, everyone started to move with Leonard as the center. This time, Leonard did it himself. Adam, as an assistant, cooperated throughout the process. The operation was successful. "Am I still alive?" Esther, who had woken up, asked weakly. "Of course." Adam smiled. "My heart." Esther smiled. "Is she beating or mooing?" Quite humorous. Adam couldn't help but smile, put the stethoscope on her chest, and put the receiver in her ear. "Anyway, it's not humming, hee." Esther listened to the steady and strong beating of her heart and couldn't help but smile happily. She was just a 17-year-old girl. Her life had just begun, and even if she was a fanatic, she didn't want to see God right away. "Adam, do you have any Jewish friends?" Esther smiled, and her eyes couldn't help but fall on Adam's face. Yes. The first person Adam thought of was the coquettish Mr. Howard Wolowitz, whom he hadn't met yet. He was also a Jew, and he had broken all the Jewish precepts that could be broken, and he even married Bernadette, who came from a Catholic family. Just think about it, if Howard married this person, his life would be miserable. The key is that Esther is tall, and even if she doesn't go crazy, Howard, who wears oversized children's clothes, can't beat her at all. Then there are Monica and Ross, who are also Jewish. Ross's fussing about money is a true portrayal of the Jewish people's calculations. "Are there any Jewish girls?" Esther began to test him in a roundabout way again. "Yes. Her name is Monica. We are very good friends. She married my best friend. They are a very happy couple." Adam picked up the stethoscope and said, "Okay, you have a good rest. I have other patients to take care of. See you tomorrow morning." In the corridor, Christina and the others lay there again, calming down the fatigue after a busy day of work. Adam also stopped to communicate with them about the experience of today's surgery. Meredith did not go as expected and had another neurological surgery by Dr. Shept. Christina was responsible for a 47-year-old patient who had never had children. Now she was pregnant, but was diagnosed with breast cancer. She faced a difficult choice of saving the adult or the child. Liz met a psychic with epilepsy. "Adam, do you think there are people in the world who can really communicate with spirits?" "No." Adam smiled and said, "Don't be fooled by him." Yeah, I know that I can read people's expressions, interpret their body language and psychological activities, and say some seemingly plausible things." Liz was entangled and said, "But this Mr. Duff is really psychic. He actually guessed the secret recipe of my mother's homemade cupcakes and accurately said that I was missing a spoonful of coconut essence. He was just lucky." Adam explained, "The ingredients of cupcakes are just those." People like him must have wandered around and have seen a lot. It is very likely that he can tell where you are from your accent and has eaten the common cupcakes in your place. Then he can smell the cupcakes on you and analyze that there is no coconut essence. Is it difficult? And if you guess wrong, you can just laugh it off, and there is no loss. If you cast a wide net, there will always be a few who are particularly accurate. It seems like psychic, but in fact, the routines are still the ones you know. So that's it. Liz suddenly realized and felt relieved. The unknown brings fear. At this time, Alex walked by. His eyes swept over everyone, revealing a smug sneer. "What's wrong with him now?" Adam asked curiously. "I heard that he hooked up with a beautiful young woman this afternoon," Christina said listlessly. "He failed in the workplace, but succeeded in love." "He dared to hook up with a patient?" Adam shook his head and said, "He is so bold." Chapter 360. Who is Dr. Clive? Ding-ling-ling. The phone rang. Adam suppressed his complaints about Alex's desperate behavior and answered the phone. "Leonard?" "Adam, tomorrow is Saturday. Why don't you take a rest?" Leonard hinted on the other end of the phone. Really? Adam raised the corner of his mouth and sighed pretentiously. Time flies so fast. It's really too busy. I have to go to work tomorrow. Is there anything? Leonard stopped talking on the other end of the phone. Adam could feel Leonard's unhappiness from a distance. Ha ha ha. Adam couldn't help laughing. Don't worry. I remember. I will come to see you the day after tomorrow, Sunday. Hee hee hee. When Leonard heard this, his anger immediately dissipated, and he laughed. Let me make it clear first. I'm only providing you with an opportunity. Adam reminded. After the introduction, I'll leave. The subsequent development depends on you. Ah, Leonard exclaimed. Let me talk to her alone? Of course it's you alone. Adam complained. You can't let me sit by your side and teach you step by step. Otherwise, even if you succeed, will it be yours or mine? Leonard was extremely entangled. He knew Adam was right, but how could he have the courage to face the second goddess alone? Usually, he had hardly faced girls. How about, it's yours? Leonard thought about it, but still couldn't imagine himself facing Dr. Plimpton alone. But he couldn't bear to give up the opportunity to meet, so he said aggrievedly, Adam's mouth twitched. Are you sure? Sure, Leonard calculated. You have Dr. Adler, and you will definitely give up Dr. Plimpton when the time comes. So you are going to take over? Adam said in shock. No, Leonard denied subconsciously. I just want to comfort her as a friend when the time comes. Really not trying to take over? Adam probed. That's good. I didn't plan to have any super friendship relationship with Dr. Plimpton. She doesn't need your comfort. The other end of the phone fell silent again. Adam's mouth twitched, and he felt Leonard's disappointment again. He said he didn't want to take over. Adam was extremely shocked at first, but after thinking about it carefully, he found that this was very Leonard. In the process of pursuing Penny, didn't Leonard also watch Penny spend the night with one man after another, never giving up, and finally got a beautiful woman? Adam would naturally feel shocked if he substituted his own worldview. But if he substituted the worldview of Westerners, Leonard's behavior is actually nothing. Otherwise, there wouldn't be so many American TV dramas and movies, where the heroines are all bus drivers, but the heroes still pursue them with their lives and blood, and finally get the beauty. Leonard lacks self-confidence and wants to follow Adam as a scapegoat. Maybe he is happy to think that he has found a genius idea to take a shortcut, because Adam's taste is high enough. This guy. Adam's face darkened. Leonard doesn't mind, but he does. How can he accept a friend who is ready to take over him at any time? I give you two choices. Either give up or take the initiative to pursue it yourself. Don't think about taking over. I hate friends doing this kind of thing the most. Adam, I'm not. Leonard heard the stern tone of Adam and immediately panicked. He just had a flash of inspiration. He definitely didn't want to make his proudest and best friend angry because of this. I really don't mean that. I'll be satisfied if we talk to Dr. Plimpton together, Leonard said quickly. If you have an idea, just pursue it yourself, Adam said in a gentle tone. We are good friends, but we must never be fellow travelers who will change the friendship. Do you understand? I know. Leonard nodded repeatedly. Then it's settled. See you the day after tomorrow. Adam hung up the phone after speaking. Why are you looking at me? Adam glanced at everyone and said with a smile, good friends can't be like-minded. Why are you talking so harshly? Meredith said unhappily. What do you think of us women? Yes, we are people with feelings, not tools. Liz also denounced. Women are not attached to anyone. Why can't a woman who has had close contact with you have feelings for your friends? McCoyism, Christina said faintly. Then the three women began to besiege Adam. See you tomorrow. Adam was too lazy to discuss this issue with them. He left after saying a word. There was no way to argue with him about this matter. The next day, there was no major surgery at Green Clinic, so Adam went to the emergency room first. Susan was suturing a homeless man's head wound. Adam, you came at the right time. A patient who swallowed a key just came in. Go and take the key out. Okay. Adam agreed and went over. What's going on? Adam saw a young man and woman. The man opened his mouth and looked very uncomfortable, and the woman stared at the man. He swallowed my car keys. I don't want her to leave. The man was a little proud. Don't want me to leave? The woman was angry. What have you been doing? I've completely given up on you now. Do you think swallowing the keys will keep me here? Don't dream. Even if you swallow the whole car, I won't change my mind. Take an X-ray first, Adam interrupted. He didn't have time to listen to such trivial things. Adam stepped in, and the female staff at the X-ray directly arranged for expedited treatment, taking the photos and taking them immediately. The X-ray showed that the key was stuck in the esophagus. I'm going to use a bronchoscope to suck out the key, Mr. JP. After Adam talked about the treatment plan, he muttered the man's name, which was a little strange. This name is just the reverse of his predecessor PJ. Both letters contain the meaning of toilet but have not changed. The bronchoscope is a thin hose with a micro lens and a magnet. Adam asked JP to lie down, and introduced the hose from his mouth, passing through the throat. The key was clearly displayed on the screen. As long as he sucked it, the key stuck there could be taken out. At this time, Alex, who was also in the emergency room for a rectal examination, passed by and saw this scene. He sneered, "We are all the same." Adam ignored him and just carefully sucked out the key. Outside the door, "Who is Dr. Clive?" a deep male voice sounded. "I am." Alex looked away from Adam, turned around and raised his hand, showing the brightest smile. "Alex Clive?" the deep male voice sounded again. Adam's eyelids jumped and alarm bells rang in his heart. Bang! A gunshot. At this moment, the world entered slow motion. Adam clearly saw a bullet flying, and the smile on Alex's face froze there. His eyes were full of horror, and his mouth still kept the shape of its me. P.S. Thank you for the rewards from Resurrection of For Many Days. Chapter 361. Now you feel good, right? Medical center. Emergency room. Gunshots. Holy shit. In the slowed-down world, Adam's mind was particularly active. Here it comes. Here it comes. I knew it. Happy America. Gunfights every day. I've been here for more than 9 years, but I haven't seen it many times. I almost thought it was an exaggeration. The target of the shooting was Alex. Before shooting, the gunman confirmed again and again before shooting. It seems to be a personal grudge, not a psychopath who played real-life CS crazy. Adam couldn't help but feel a little relieved, because if it was really like the scary video he saw in his previous life, even he would be in danger of death. What if he could predict the power of the Chicago typewriter before shooting? You can dodge one bullet, but can you dodge a rain of bullets? After being relieved, the bullets were still flying. Adam couldn't help but think again. What kind of personal grudge would get to the point of shooting directly? He didn't feel very surprised, because with Alex's style, insulting patients and killing patients, being shot was also expected. It was a matter of time, but the internship was only 2 months. The 2 patients who were almost killed, one by Liz and the other by Adam, were both saved. As long as they are alive, the possibility of such a cruel revenge is greatly reduced. The girl with a giant tumor who was insulted as disgusting and perverted was so inferior that she didn't even want to sue Alex. Her mother was also a good person without any temper. It was impossible for her to retaliate against Alex so fiercely. On the contrary, the old man who was insulted should have died long ago, but Alex made his condition worse. Maybe he has passed away now, and he still has family members alive. They heard something and were angry and killed people in passion. This is very likely. That's not right. Thinking of this, Adam suddenly noticed that the trajectory of the bullet was wrong. Normally, the bullet should be shot at the chest, because the shooting area is wide and easy to hit, and the heart is also a fatal organ. But the trajectory of this bullet was much lower. Adam figured it out immediately. It was clearly shot in the direction of Alex's 5th limb. Yes, he hooked up with a beautiful young woman last night. At this moment, Adam understood everything. The revenge feature was too obvious. Adam couldn't help but speed up the speed of pulling the bronchoscope out. When Alex screamed, he narrowly sucked the key out of the patient JP's mouth. Alex screamed, and under the impact of the bullet, he fell backwards, hit the door of the ward, and fell into the ward. Shit. Adam cursed inwardly, pulled JP and his frightened girlfriend, and ran to a corner of the ward away from the door, and pulled the metal cabinet of the bronchoscope display and other metal cabinets to block the 3 people. Although he judged it to be green revenge, he still had to be on guard. Are there not enough people who are killing with blood? As for risking his life to save Alex, sorry, it took so long to think. But Adam didn't even have a flash of this idea. There was a chaotic scream outside, responding to Alex's scream. A tall man walked into Adam's sight. "Alex, you've really run into a tough guy this time." Adam knew at a glance that this man was most likely a soldier. His every move showed his military style. "Don't kill me." Alex felt his life threatened, temporarily suppressed the pain of the explosion in his fifth limb, and begged. "I won't kill you," the tall man said coldly. "I only kill people who offend me, and you haven't offended me." Alex didn't feel happy at all when he heard this. As the person involved, how could Adam not think of what he could think of? In fact, the moment the man fired the gun, he recognized the other party. Last night, he was at the beautiful young woman's house, and stared at the other person in the wedding photo on the wall for a long time. How proud he was at that time. How scared he was at this moment. Damn it, she clearly said that her husband was on duty overseas and would not be back for a long time. He thought that he would just play a few times and it would be over. Judging from the appearance of the beautiful young woman, he would not be the only one to date. When her husband comes back, she will probably forget about him. Otherwise, no matter how brave he was, there was no need to offend a Marine to death. He never expected that he would suffer retribution today after just meeting him last night. The severe pain in his crotch made him almost die of pain and regret. The husband of the beautiful young woman, expressionlessly stretched out one foot to step on one of Alex's legs, and stretched out another foot to push away Alex's other leg that was curled up, causing Alex to lie on the ground trembling with his arms and legs spread out. An eye for an eye, a tooth for a tooth. The husband of the beautiful young woman raised the muzzle of the gun, pointed it at Alex's red crotch, and sneered, "You had a good time last night, didn't you?" Bang. "What about this time?" Bang. "Is it even better?" Bang, bang, bang. The husband of the beautiful young woman fired 6 shots at Alex's brother, and Alex had completely fainted. Adam, who was hiding behind the metal cabinet and observing, felt anxious for Alex. Just when Adam thought it was over, Alex screamed again. Adam looked closely, only to see the Marine husband of the beautiful young woman, still angry, wearing heavy military boots, stepping hard on Alex's red crotch, and then twisting it. Hiss. Adam took a breath of cold air. "This is too cruel. Doctor, come and save him." The husband of the beautiful young woman felt the destruction of the enemy and said to Adam hiding behind the metal cabinet. After saying that, without waiting for Adam's response, he left in a chic manner. Adam didn't care about the absurd feeling of police come out to clean up the floor in his heart. Out of his duty as a doctor, he hurried over to check Alex's injuries. This look made him breathe again. It was too miserable. "Put down the gun. Lie on the ground." Outside, the roar of the hospital security personnel came, but there was no more gunshot. Adam picked up Alex, put him on the trolley, and ran directly to the operating room, shouting to the nurses along the way while running, "Call Dr. Green, Dr. Burke, and Dr. Shept. Whoever makes it in time, come over." The nurses responded. Some went to look for people. Some led the way. "Operating room 3 is empty." Adam pushed Alex into operating room 3. While Alex's vital signs were being stabilized, Leonard and the others all arrived. The chief of surgery was away, so Dr. Burke temporarily managed the entire surgery department and took over the rescue mission. He really hated Alex and repeatedly asked the hospital to fire Alex, but definitely not in this way. At this moment, in his and everyone else's eyes, Alex was just a doctor colleague who was shot. He must be treated with all his strength. As for the others, we'll save them first. P.S. Thank you for the many days of rewards from Resurrection A. Chapter 362 The Worst God of War Returns. Medical Center. Operating Room 3. "Put on we goggles," Dr. Burke said, and everyone understood. The news that Alex was the patient zero of the hospital's drug scandal was well known. Once there is an accident such as blood spraying during the treatment, the drug can enter the human body through the eyes. Fortunately, this is not AIDS, so there is no need to wear a full protective suit. Otherwise, there is no time at all. Add goggles and masks to protect the entire face, which is almost enough. Time waits for no one. Adam was treating patients before, and gloves and other things are necessary. When he picked up Alex and put him on the stretcher, he also paid special attention. Therefore, There was no problem. However, after entering the operating room, he asked the nurse to put on goggles and masks for him. It was only when Dr. Burke saw Adam's outfit that he immediately thought of Alex's special identity as a drug patient. Usually, only masks are worn during surgery. After everyone was dressed, they looked at Alex's injuries and couldn't help but look at each other. Notified the plastic surgery department. Dr. Burke instructed the nurse, "This kind of injury must be fixed by the plastic surgery department afterwards." With so many attending doctors present, the operation went smoothly. Who was so cruel? Dr. Burke looked at Alex's wound again and couldn't help asking. It might be the military husband of a female patient who had an affair with Alex. Adam summed it up in one sentence. No wonder. Dr. Shept sighed. The shooting is very accurate. He said he would retaliate, not against Alex personally. Adam's mouth twitched. Everyone was speechless, because the gunman really did it. Whoever offended him, he would take revenge on them. Not a single shot deviated. All of them hit Alex's brother. Afterwards, he stepped on it hard a few times. You can tell at a glance. It must be useless. Has the gunman been caught? Dr. Burke frowned. He is now the acting chief of surgery, and Alex is an intern in surgery. For someone who is determined to win the throne of the chief of surgery, this kind of trouble will happen as soon as he takes office, which is definitely not a good sign. We should have caught him, Adam said as he assisted Dr. Burke in the operation, except for the 6 shots that shot Alex. There were no more gunshots. The other party probably didn't prepare to resist. Thinking of the other party reminding him to come out and clean up the mess, Adam couldn't help but add, the gunman was very calm. This is not calm. Dr. Shept took another look at the wound and said solemnly, "This is terrible." Under normal circumstances, shooting is to kill people. If this is true, the process of death will be very fast. But this gunman completely restrained the urge to kill. Not only was his shooting extremely accurate, but he also ran to the hospital on purpose. Adam couldn't help but suspect that the gunman was afraid that Alex would die. Otherwise, the other party would follow him first, find a place without people and surveillance, quietly kill Alex, and then disguise himself. With the efficiency of the police in solving cases and their relationship with the military, this matter would probably be left unresolved. But he didn't do this. He even exposed his identity. In addition to the pleasure of revenge in public, Adam's first thought from the other party's calm and accurate style was that the other party didn't want Alex to die quickly. The injury was too severe. Outside the hospital, it was a death sentence. There was no time to send him to the hospital for emergency treatment. Only in the hospital would he have the best chance of survival. As for why Alex had to be allowed to survive at such a high cost, Alex who survived in this state would be 10,000 times more painful than Alex who died instantly. Isn't this what it means to be worse off than dead? When the plastic surgeon came, the operation was handed over to the plastic surgeon. But for this kind of injury, the plastic surgeon actually had no good solution. It was all useless. It had to be completely removed. The operation was over. Adam left the operating room and immediately went to wash his whole body. OMG, it's terrible. The hospital was filled with exclamations of fear. Empathy is one of human instincts. No matter whether Alex was wrong first, he was a doctor and a member of the medical staff. Even the colleagues in the hospital who hated Alex felt more or less uncomfortable at this moment. Adam, are you okay? Bianca came over and asked with concern. Although she moved out of Adam's apartment because she couldn't stand Adam, she still had deep feelings for Adam, at least much deeper than Adam had for her. She was shocked to hear that Adam was at the scene of the shooting. It's okay. Adam smiled and shook his head. At this time, Liz and the others also gathered around. How is Alex? Just like that, Adam said. His life was saved, but he is also disabled. Too much. Liz was furious. Even if Alex did something wrong, he couldn't be so cruel. But I heard that Alex was the first to steal someone's wife. George couldn't help but refute. It takes two to tango, Meredith retorted. Alex didn't force his wife. It was his wife who took the initiative to ask Alex out. It's wrong for Alex to do this, but it's not a crime. Yes, Liz became angrier and angrier. I heard that he was on duty overseas for a long time. His marriage had problems. It's also his responsibility. who told him not to accompany his wife. Now that the matter is not clear, don't jump to conclusions, Adam reminded. Maybe the other party is not only angry about his wife cheating. Westerners are actually very tolerant of such things. Unless it is absolutely necessary, they will not risk going to jail to do such things. Because once you go to jail, most of the time, you will be the only one who is ruined. Your beloved beautiful wife will not wait for you outside. What do you mean? Christina, who had always been indifferent, immediately understood. Did Alex pass the aphrodisiac poison to his wife? It's very likely, Adam analyzed. Just imagine, a soldier who has been on duty overseas for many months returns home early to give his beloved wife a surprise. As a result, when he was enthusiastic and proactive, he saw an abnormal red dot that made him confused. The knowledgeable soldier immediately recognized what it was. The god of war came back and saw his wife living in a doghouse. In anger, the dog whined. No wonder the other party is so cruel. Christina shook her head. Liz and Meredith were also a little dazed. In Hollywood blockbusters, such scenes are always warm and touching. It is said that this is also the fastest and most direct way to accurately convey the relationship between men and women to the audience in just over an hour or 2 hours of film and television. Because family and friendship can't do this, there will definitely be no misunderstanding. If there is, it must have been graded in advance. Not suitable for children. But it is precisely because of this kind of thinking that the reversal described by Adam touched them even more. I have worked so hard to become the god of war, and you show me this. It's too miserable, isn't it? Chapter 363. I am no longer who I used to be. The whole day that followed, the hospital was in a strange mood. At 6 p.m., everyone left work on time, no longer procrastinating. Everyone went to calm down. Bianca, contrary to her usual behavior, followed Adam to the apartment without him asking. Don't. Adam knew her good intentions, but when she took the initiative to comfort him, he declined. First, he was not frightened. Second, he had almost no empathy for Alex's experience and did not need any comfort. Third, although he cleaned again and again afterwards, psychologically he still did not want to have any unspeakable things in the past 2 days. This was a combined sequelae of misophobia and obsessive-compulsive disorder. Adam had this tendency in his previous life. Every time he locked the door and left, he would keep turning the handle to confirm that it was locked. But even so, after going downstairs, he was still a little worried and wanted to go back and turn it a few more times to confirm. In this life, he has been with Sheldon and Monica for a long time, and has been more or less affected. Not only has he become a little more misophobic, but his obsessive-compulsive disorder has also been strengthened. At least, in his previous life, after confirming that there was no problem, he would not have refused Bianca's enthusiasm and initiative. The reason why he did not say it when Bianca got in the car just now was because he did not want her to misunderstand. Taking her into the apartment and hugging her to explain is more convincing than explaining in thousands of words outside. And seeing how happy Bianca was, she was even happier than Adam's New Year holiday in his previous life. This is probably the scene she is most looking forward to. Finally, there is a night where they can just hug each other, instead of the daily routine of loving and fearing each other. If Adam had been willing to do this earlier, she would definitely not have taken the initiative to move out. The two of them were affectionate for a while. Ding-ling-ling, the phone rang. Adam picked up the phone and looked at it, then got up from the bed, smiled at Bianca, and walked towards the study. Juno, well, you heard about it too? It is no exaggeration to say that news spreads faster than a virus. At least, no virus can spread from New York to Boston in such a short time. But gossip can. The medical community is big and small. Compared to the whole society, it is definitely a small circle. In this small circle, the shooting of doctors is definitely the most sensitive and explosive news. Adam was not surprised at all that Juno knew this news. I was at the scene. Adam told the story from his perspective. You really need to be more careful in the future. Juno smiled and said, this time it was aphrodisiac, and next time it may be AIDS. We have a case here. The patient concealed his information that he was an AIDS patient when he visited the doctor. When he coughed, blood sprayed on the doctor's face. Is he infected? Adam was surprised. AIDS is not comparable to aphrodisiac. At this moment, it is still a real terminal illness. Even if the medical level and technology are greatly developed in the future, the survival time of AIDS patients can be extended, but the quality of life cannot be mentioned. First do an examination, then take rapid exposure precautions. Juno said, although the chance of infection is low, you still need to take 3 courses of antiviral drugs, nefenavir, zidovudine and dalmivudine. All have side effects. Adam couldn't help but say, headache, nausea, clear dreams, etc. Yes, Juno said, you also need to do HIV tests at 6 weeks, 3 months and 6 months. Once the test result is positive, Dr. Cameron will be in trouble. The hospital will not bear the endless medical expenses obediently. Most likely, they will force a lawsuit and frame Dr. Cameron for having silver plating in contracting HIV by taking drugs. Alas, Adam sighed. This seems cruel and unbelievable, but it is the general process. This set is actually very practical in the United States. Because the proportion of Western drug population in the United States is very high, almost feeding drug dealers all over the world. Not to mention the amazing purity, special sandwiches are even legal in many states. When Adam was in Columbia University, he ran into Ted and Matthew. They were just enjoying sandwiches. Among young people, less than 40% have never eaten special sandwiches like Adam. This proportion is actually very scary, because almost everyone around them has eaten it. The psychological suggestion brought by the bandwagon effect is the most terrible. The more stressful the work is, the more likely it is to be poisoned. Like the Wolf of Wall Street, they work hard, party hard, and drink hard. Without medicine, they have no way to work and socialize. Doctors also have a lot of work pressure, and they are easily exposed to various addictive drugs. For example, painkillers. Dr. House next door has a lame leg, and it seems that he takes this every day and can't live without it for a moment. In such a social atmosphere, capital is so accurate in framing, no matter if you are innocent or not, whether you have shed blood or been injured for the hospital, as long as your value is not enough for them to pay so much, they will show their extremely cruel side. Capital has never been humane. You have to be safe. Adam couldn't help but remind him, he has bullet time, so this aspect is actually very little threatening to him. After all, blood spray is not like bullet shooting, the speed is not that fast, and Adam does not need to dodge it completely. He just needs to avoid the eyes, mouth, ears and other vulnerable parts. It's okay to dodge or block it with your hands. Don't worry, Juno smiled and said, I can't hide whether the patient has any problems, and I will be very careful. But you have to be extra careful. What should I be careful about? Adam knew what Juno was teasing, and couldn't help but complain. Let me tell you, there is a beautiful woman lying in my bed now, and I asked her to wait for a few days. Recently, I have rejected many beautiful women's explicit hints. I am no longer the person I used to be. TSK. It seems that you are serious about Peggy. Juno was amazed. That's right, she knew about the affair between Adam and Peggy. Last Sunday, when he went back home at night, Adam, who was a little excited, couldn't help but call her and took the initiative to talk about it. There must be someone to share. As Adam's best friend, Juno never pointed fingers at Adam or criticized him. Adam always shared things with her without hiding them. Has she contacted you these days? No. Adam's mouth twitched, and I didn't really get along with her. I just passed the Dumas stage of wanting to possess a beautiful woman when I saw her. Hee. Juno smiled and said meaningfully, it seems that the first blood does have an unusual meaning to you, but it's not surprising. You are more like an Eastern man than an American man. Adam was speechless. Juno was really sharp. If she hadn't expected that there would be such a thing as system crossing, Adam suspected that his hidden Eastern soul would have been seen through by Juno long ago. P.S. Thanks to Zen Body Bamboo for the reward. Chapter 364 Domineering President Leonard. The two chatted for a long time. After hanging up the phone, Adam couldn't help but smile. Chatting with Juno is always so pleasant, and it feels like I should reflect on myself 3 times a day. Back to the bedroom. Bianca is already asleep. This is the normal state of an intern. Many times, Indescribable attraction is not as good as a deep sleep. It is very similar to Howard and Bernadette, who are parents of 2 children in The Big Bang Theory. They imagined that one day they would go out to travel without their children, book a luxury suite, and sleep well on the luxurious big bed without doing anything. Before they finished thinking, they had already fallen asleep on the table together like 2 elementary school students taking a nap. Thinking of Howard and Bernadette, Adam, who was lying on the bed, couldn't help but think of Leonard and tomorrow's heroine, Dr. Elizabeth Plimpton. 10 years later, she is a hardcore player of cosplay, and the temperature is as high as 50 degrees. I just don't know if she has had that little fun now. Adam actually hoped that she was, otherwise, Leonard probably wouldn't have a chance. A genius physicist recognized by even Sheldon probably couldn't compare to halfling Leonard in terms of IQ and academic achievements. As Leonard's friend, Adam didn't want Leonard to be disappointed all the time, and then look at him with pitiful and aggrieved eyes. The next day, Adam, isn't this a bit too exaggerated? Leonard sat there uncomfortably, allowing a sissy designer to make all kinds of styles for him. Isn't Dr. Plimpton worthy of your careful treatment? Adam sat aside, flipping through some fashion magazines, and smiled when he heard it. Of course it's worth it, Leonard first affirmed, then hesitated and said, but this. Do you know why you came to me? Adam closed the magazine and smiled. It's because you are not confident enough. Every time you meet a beautiful woman, you should not be reserved and retreat. You should show your confident side. To do this, you must first change your image and show all your advantages. Don't worry, Tony, am the best. I promise to dress you up to be charming. The famous fashion designer Tony stood behind Leonard, raised his orchid finger, and threw a wink at Leonard in the mirror. Leonard couldn't help but shudder. Confident, however, Adam and Tony's encouragement made him unconsciously straighten his chest and mutter. 2 hours later, saying goodbye to the nerdy image, Leonard, who changed his style greatly, stood in front of the floor-length dressing mirror, looking at the completely different self, and unconsciously grinned. I think I know what to do. Perfect, show me. Tony pointed at Leonard with his orchid finger. Hi, my name is Leonard. Leonard took off his glasses, shook his hair, leaned over, looked at Tony deeply, raised his chin, and said in a deep and unrestrained tone, you are beautiful, wise, young, unrestrained, and passionate. I will pick you up at 8 o'clock in the evening and will definitely bring you an unforgettable night. Where are we going tonight? Tony was really fascinated by Leonard. He looked at Leonard straight and asked stupidly. Now Leonard is a standard young man. He is very charming after dressing up. Otherwise, he would not be valued by the billionaire widow in the future and successfully get sponsorship for the purchase of the latest centrifuge for the Department of Physics of Caltech. Did you see it? Leonard put on his glasses coolly and looked at Adam with great joy. I succeeded. Adam's mouth twitched. No, Leonard said disappointedly. Okay. Adam raised 2 thumbs up. Confident men are the most handsome. Keep this confidence. You can do it. Originally, he was going to persuade Leonard to be more reserved. What he did just now was too exaggerated. But then he thought, the exaggerated Leonard is much better than the stuttering Leonard. Maybe Dr. Elizabeth Plimpton will fall for this domineering CEO's routine. Anyway, he can get out of it in time. Not to mention that he doesn't have time to help Leonard become a love expert. Even if he has the time and ability, he doesn't want to do it. The otaku Leonard is much better than the playboys Barney and Joey. New Jersey, Princeton University. Lisa, when you see me touching my hair with my hands, you call me. Remember? Adam said. Emergency calls are very old routines, but they are very practical means, and the level is much better than running away to pee. Adam didn't plan to stay for long. After paving the way for Leonard, he would leave. Then he went to see Peggy. He is a man. How could he just wait foolishly for Peggy's call to summon him? Don't worry, boss. Lisa patted her chest and said, I'll do the job, you can rest assured. In fact, maybe we don't need to wait until then. At this time, Leonard's self-confidence exploded a little, and he said proudly, Really? Adam looked at him playfully. Then how about I not go, and you meet her by yourself? In fact, the effect is better this way. Leonard hesitated, and wanted to say yes, but his exploding confidence unconsciously shrank back to the singularity state. and smiled awkwardly. "Let's go together. When I have a good chat with Dr. Plimpton, you can answer the phone and leave." Haha. Adam couldn't help but smile. He was still not confident enough. He suddenly looked forward to the next meeting. "Lisa, you." Adam leaned close to Lisa's ear and whispered. "Okay." Lisa agreed and left. "What did she do?" Leonard asked curiously. "Nothing." Adam smiled without saying anything. He thought it would be more interesting to capture this historic moment with a camera, but the photographer might make Leonard nervous. So Adam kindly concealed the news. After Lisa secretly made an okay gesture to him from a distance, Adam patted Leonard and said, "Let's go. Don't keep Dr. Plimpton waiting for too long." After that, he stood up and walked towards the restaurant with Leonard. Leonard knew Dr. Plimpton's whereabouts very well. At this moment, she must be sitting by the glass window of the school restaurant, enjoying food and reading a book. This beautiful scene is recognized as a scene in Princeton. Adam and Leonard went to meet her by chance. When the two walked over, they saw a woman with long hair hanging down to her chest and intellectual temperament. She sat by the window and bowed her head to read a book. No one dared to sit over and disturb her. There were people sitting in the distance, and they all looked at this woman with obsessed eyes. When they saw Adam and Leonard walking over, they all had fierce eyes. These fierce eyes had no effect on Adam, but Leonard's legs suddenly became weak. "Hi, Dr. Plimpton. I'm Adam Duncan. This is my good friend Leonard Hofstadter. Nice to meet you." Adam stepped forward and greeted him with a smile. Elizabeth Plimpton, who was reading at her desk, raised her head. Her long hair slid to both sides, revealing a youthful and beautiful face. She smiled at Adam and smiled dazzlingly. Hi Leonard, whose legs were weak, was pulled over by Adam. Seeing Elizabeth like this, the confidence of the domineering president completely disappeared. The hello that was about to come out of his mouth was replaced by the hi that followed. He was incoherent. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 365 Why Am I So Smart? New Jersey. Princeton University. When the overbearing President Leonard saw the goddess, he immediately became a coward. "How come you are not surprised at all?" Adam complained in his heart, and tried to smooth things over for Leonard. "Leonard is not only your junior, but also your fan. He admires your academic research results." "Really?" Elizabeth Plimpton then turned her eyes away from Adam's face and looked at Leonard. "Are you also a student of Princeton?" "Yes, I." Leonard was completely incoherent. He was too excited to see the goddess. Adam almost couldn't bear to look directly at it, but he had to help Leonard to hold the scene. Otherwise, Leonard, who went back in this state, might sing sad love songs and even buy a cat. This is not 10 years later, when the geneticist who studies cats in San Diego has not yet bred super cute low allergenic transgenic kittens. Leonard, who has asthma, has a cat, which is definitely a suicide. In American movies and TV series, normal people like dogs. Weird people like cats, because dogs can please people, but cats can't, and they are prone to allergies and have gloomy eyes. The young single man was originally a single dog, but he kept a cat. He must have suffered a major blow, lost hope in life, and was ready to commit social suicide. Adam naturally couldn't watch Leonard commit suicide. "Leonard, you are also a physics student. Didn't you always tell me how great Dr. Plimpton is before?" Adam could only take him by force. Yes. After this buffer, Leonard finally recovered a little. Although he still stuttered a little when he spoke, his meaning was no longer confusing. "Dr. Plimpton, I have read your paper many times." "Do you understand it?" Elizabeth Plimpton asked curiously. "Do you have any ideas?" Leonard's face flushed and he fell into an incoherent state again. He is now just a student in the School of Physics. Out of admiration for the goddess, he has indeed read her paper many times, but he can only barely understand the first level. How can he have any unique insights? After all, IQ is just hardware. If it is not deeply learned, it is like not installing an operating system. It is useless. Moreover, he was not good at theory. Otherwise he would not have become an experimental physicist. Not to mention that Elizabeth Plimpton is studying the mysterious quantum cosmology. Adam held his forehead. He was completely unable to help. Are you also from the School of Physics, my junior? Elizabeth Plimpton looked at Adam with a chuckle. She met Leonard every day and was used to it. But she had never met Adam. No. Adam shook his head and smiled. I am Leonard's good friend. I hear him talk about you, Dr. Plimpton, every day. My ears are calloused. I didn't expect that he couldn't say anything when we met. Although Elizabeth was at the most beautiful age at this time, he was talking about Leonard and his words and deeds, and he had no intention of communicating with her in depth. It was really that the future her was too playful and left too deep an impression on Adam. Just call me Elizabeth. Elizabeth stared at Adam. Leonard, who was standing between the two of them, suddenly felt as if he had become transparent, and immediately had an ominous premonition. No, the terrified Leonard subconsciously shouted. What's wrong? Adam was surprised. Dr. Princeton, my name is Leonard. I have read all your papers. You are so talented. Leonard, who was in fear of disappearing, seemed to suppress his panic for a while. He stretched out his hand to Elizabeth and said repeatedly, my name is Leonard. I am also a student at the Princeton School of Physics. I am really sorry for the beginning. I just want to be smart. Adam, if you don't say my name is Leonard twice, I will believe you. It's okay. Elizabeth smiled and shook hands with Leonard, and then looked at Adam. Let's sit down and talk together. Thank you. Thank you. You are so approachable. Leonard finally looked like a dog. Adam was relieved. After the two sat down, at the signal of Adam's eyes, Leonard finally got it, and talked to Elizabeth about some academic matters, of course, mostly asking for advice. Elizabeth had no interest in talking at first, but seeing that Adam also looked like he wanted to listen, she was happy to talk more about basic physics. With this back and forth, Leonard's state became better and better, and he even played a few nerd jokes beyond his level, which made Elizabeth chuckle. Adam was amazed. You can go now. I can handle it myself. At this time, Leonard poked Adam under the table with his hand, and while Elizabeth was not paying attention, he turned his head and used his fierce big eyes to signal Adam. Damn! Adam's mouth twitched. He actually thought he was in the way. Adam subconsciously wanted to teach this guy a lesson, but then he thought of Leonard's miserable look waiting downstairs of Peggy's building last Sunday, and his incoherent excitement just now. Forget it. Who made me a man of unparalleled loyalty? Adam sighed in his heart and reached out to touch his hair. Ding-ling-ling. Lisa was secretly filming the whole process not far away. When she saw Adam's signal, she immediately called Adam. Sorry, I have to take a call. You guys talk first. Adam picked up the phone, smiled apologetically, and got up and left. Leonard's smile on his face was almost unbearable, and he shouted in his heart, Adam, you are indeed my best friend. I almost wronged you. He's always busy. Seeing Elizabeth looking at Adam's back, Leonard quickly explained. Oh, what does he do? Why is he so busy? Elizabeth retracted her gaze and looked at Leonard with a smile. Leonard's heartbeat stopped when he was looked at like this. He looked at her with a dazed look and shouted in his heart. Now it's just the two of us. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. Leonard. Leonard. Elizabeth couldn't help but call out. What did you say? Leonard finally came back to his senses, but he had long forgotten what Elizabeth said, and his tender face blushed. I ask you, what does Adam do? Why is he so busy? Elizabeth smiled. Oh, Adam is a doctor. He just graduated from Columbia University Medical School this year and is currently doing residency training at New York Medical Center, Leonard said repeatedly to make up for his mistake of being absent-minded and making the goddess wait for a long time, especially when he saw Elizabeth smiling at him with an interested look. Leonard was overjoyed and told everything he knew and didn't know. Praise Adam. Leonard couldn't help but shout in his heart. If it weren't for Adam, he wouldn't have so many topics to talk to the goddess. So he is like this. Elizabeth murmured for a long time. Yes. Leonard nodded vigorously and laughed in his heart. His IQ is as high as 173, and he is not like Sheldon who knows nothing about love. Although it is a pleasure to chat with the goddess through Adam's interesting stories, but how could he forget to be on guard? So, in his mouth, Adam's image of being romantic and even a little vulgar came out. In this way, the goddess should give up. Hee hee hee, how can I be so smart? Chapter 366 Adam and Peggy, New Jersey, Princeton. Adam, who had escaped on the phone, naturally didn't know about Leonard's slander, but even if he knew, he would just laugh it off. He even wished it were so. He once whipped a famous horse because he was drunk, fearing that his love would tire the beauty. How could Leonard know his sadness? Adam's attention had long been on Peggy. While walking towards Peggy's apartment, he listened to Lisa's report on Peggy's life this week. Has Peggy's mother not come back yet? No. Lisa shook her head and said, she only called and said she went to her boyfriend's hometown. Her boyfriend recently received a big order and she will stay there for a long time. She has a boyfriend and has forgotten her daughter. Adam shook his head. What does her boyfriend do? It seems to be a furniture designer. Lisa thought for a while and said, he used to work in a big company. He resigned some time ago and met Peggy's mother during his vacation. The two fell in love at first sight. Now he wants to start a business and return to his hometown to design and make furniture by himself. His hometown is in a small town in Washington. Is that so? Adam nodded. How did Peggy react to this? No reaction. Lisa smiled and said, she is really a science madman. Since I moved across the street and took charge of her life, I have seen her thinking and calculating all the time. She has only said a few words to me. Did she mention me? Adam couldn't help asking. No. Lisa looked at Adam a little strangely. No way. Her romantic boss can be like this sometimes. It seems that the charm of beautiful scientists is indeed different. Adam understood Lisa's look and his mouth twitched. He just asked casually, is it that serious? At this time, they had already walked downstairs of the apartment building, so without saying anything more, Adam went upstairs directly. Outside the door of room 3A, a guitar melody came from the room. Adam was shocked. Peggy really likes the ukulele guitar you gave her. Lisa smiled and said, I like to play it from time to time. Adam couldn't help but look at Lisa. Lisa lowered her eyes, but the corners of her mouth curled up. This little girl. Adam knew that Lisa was naughty, but he was not angry. Lisa was not old, and she was taking care of Peggy. It would be better if she had some childishness and vitality. Adam did not push the door, but stopped outside the door, listening quietly, and the picture of Peggy holding the ukulele guitar and playing emerged in his mind. Suddenly, a clear and pleasant female voice sounded in the sound of the guitar. It was Peggy who sang. 2 months ago, I was still a teenager. A week ago, I officially completed that transformation from a girl to a woman. A few days ago, I wrote this song. Although Peggy's singing voice was moving, the lyrics made Adam's mouth twitch, and he had an ominous premonition in his heart. What is this? Personal experience into the song? No way, no way, no way. Looking back on the past when I was growing up, it was difficult and confusing. I was also hesitant and wanted to fall, but fortunately I have a half-friend, a fool, half a fool. Lisa couldn't help but cover her mouth and turned sideways, not daring to look at her boss's face. Adam's face was a little dark. What you fear will come true. Peggy is really an experienced singer, but if you personally experience it into the song, then put it into the song. Sheldon is a fool, so why sing him as half a fool? Too much. Adam was so angry. Seeing Lisa still laughing there, Adam drove her away directly. Then after listening to the whole song of self-playing and singing outside the door, he pushed the door and walked in. In the room, Peggy was sitting on the sofa holding a small ukulele guitar. When she heard the noise, she looked up at Adam. You're here. This smile, this tone. Adam's anger just now dissipated most of it instantly. Forget it. He is a grown man. Why should he care about a little girl? For a scientific madman like Peggy who is focused on her, teasing you means she cares about you. Otherwise she will definitely ignore you. In the future, when his IQ gets higher and higher and his research in the field of mathematics gets deeper and deeper, he will give Peggy a big surprise. By then, let's see if she will still say that he is a fool, and half a fool. I heard that you like this little guitar. Adam sat next to Peggy and said with a smile, this is a song I wrote the lyrics and arranged myself. Do you like it? Peggy asked instead of answering. Adam's mouth curled up. The song is good. You came at the right time. Peggy put down her guitar, walked forward and hugged Adam's neck, and laughed. My thoughts are not as smooth as last Sunday, And my inspiration is a little insufficient. I'm not your inspiration, man, Adam shouted wildly in his heart, but his body seemed to be under a spell and was completely out of his control. The wind is whistling and the Yishui River is cold. The warrior will never come back once he leaves. Adam picked up Peggy with a tragic face and strode towards the bedroom. Noon. Lisa was very entangled in the opposite room 3B. Usually she would go to deliver lunch at this time, but today the boss is. How about making a phone call? After entangled for an hour, seeing that it was past lunchtime, Lisa couldn't help but call Adam. The user you dialed is turned off. Lisa was a little dumbfounded when she heard the phone prompt tone. When did the boss turn off the phone? After thinking for a while, Lisa took the key and secretly went to open the door of room 3A. Then she heard Peggy singing coming from the bedroom, with her bosses singing in the background. Her face flushed. She turned around and walked to the door, paused, blushed and listened for a long time, then closed the door and ran away. At night, boss, Lisa, who had fallen asleep unknowingly, received a call from Adam. I'll do it right away. Lisa jumped up and quickly prepared a big meal. During this time, she also called her former boss Ada and asked Ada to find someone to help buy a new guitar and send it over. After a long time of busy work, when the new guitar was delivered, she took the guitar and the lunchbox and walked over and knocked on the bedroom door. Boss, just put it on the dining table. Adam's voice came, and there was also Peggy's laughter. Okay, Lisa agreed, put down the lunchbox and guitar, and walked away quickly. If she continued to listen, she would not want to get up tomorrow. After Lisa left, the bedroom door opened. Adam, who was wearing very little, glanced at the living room, walked out quickly, holding the lunchbox and the guitar, and went back to the bedroom. Let's eat something first. Adam opened the lunchbox, brought it to the bedside, and smiled at Peggy who was curled up in the quilt. I'm not hungry. Peggy poked her head out and saw the new guitar. Her beautiful eyes lit up. Let's play a song together. I remember you formed the Fruit Hard Candy Band. This time, play the song I wrote. I'll teach you. Okay. Adam was refreshed and had no intention of rejecting Peggy. He put down the lunchbox, handed Peggy's small guitar to her, picked up the newly bought guitar, sat opposite each other, smiled at each other, and plucked the strings together. Chapter 367 Doctor, can you come to my house? New Jersey. Peggy's apartment. Unlike last time, this time, Adam dawdled until the early hours of the morning before driving back to New York. Back at the apartment, he turned on his phone. He was startled by dozens of missed calls from Leonard. That's right, after calling Lisa for lunch and dinner, Adam turned off his phone again. He is now just an intern who is not necessary. There is no need for him to do any surgery. Robots also need a holiday. Therefore, it is okay to turn off the phone and take a break. Later, when he becomes a resident and attending physician, he will definitely not do this again. At that time, he must be online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and be on call at any time. Leonard, what happened? Adam quickly called Leonard. The call was connected almost instantly. It was obvious that Leonard was very anxious and probably kept guarding his phone. Adam, Leonard shouted on the other end of the phone, and the picture of speechlessness and choking came out. What's wrong? Adam asked. I regret it so much. Leonard's voice was filled with annoyance and grievance. I thought that if I described you as a playboy and a vulgar person, Dr. Plimpton would not be interested in you. Who knew? Who knew? What did you say? Adam's mouth twitched. Bastard. He was at most playboy and unrestrained in the past. When was he vulgar? Besides, a man like him could never be associated with vulgarity. I'm sorry. Leonard also realized that he had let the cat out of the bag, and he put away some of his annoyance and grievance, and quickly apologized. I just wanted to dispel Dr. Plimpton's possible interest in you. After all, I have no advantage in competing with you. Adam snorted coldly. I was wrong, Leonard said sadly. I shouldn't have done that, but the fact is that after I said that, I don't know why, she became more interested in you. You are confused, Adam complained. What's there to not understand? A man who is not bad, women don't love him. This kind of proverb should be known even by Otakis. Besides, Elizabeth Plimpton is a hardcore cosplayer at the 50 Shades level. She was already very interested in Adam. Now she heard that Adam was romantic and vulgar, which was like adding fuel to the fire. Adam could even imagine the scene. "Doctor, can you provide door-to-door service?" "Doctor, I have chest pain." "Doctor, thank you for curing me, but I don't have money to pay for the consultation. How about we make a special deal tilde?" Leonard almost cried when he heard Adam's logic. He was completely outsmarted. After you left, we talked for a long time, but it was all about you. When I couldn't think of anything else to say, she asked for your phone number and left. Did you give it to her? Adam suddenly thought of the unknown missed calls besides Leonard. She asked for it. How can I not give it to her? Leonard said embarrassedly. Adam, did she call you? I don't know, Adam said unhappily. I just turned on my phone and saw that you made dozens of calls. Sorry, Leonard said weakly. Adam, what should we do now? We? Oh, boy, there is no we now, Adam interrupted. This matter only involves you. What should you do? But, Leonard wanted to say something, but was interrupted by Adam again. No buts. Adam complained. I have done everything I should do. Even your slandering me. I have tolerated it. And you can't handle this. What else do you want me to do? Do you really want me to personally seduce Dr. Plimpton and hurt her heart, and then let you go over to comfort her and take advantage of the opportunity? On the other end of the phone, Leonard was silent for a moment, and smiled embarrassedly. Adam. Bang. Adam hung up the phone directly. There was no need to say anything. Leonard shouting, that expression of "or how about this, I can accept it" has already appeared in Adam's mind. Sometimes, he really wanted to say to Leonard, you are so flirty. Leonard knew what was going on, and he didn't call to harass Adam next time. Adam looked at the several unknown missed calls from the same number and wanted to ignore them, but he was afraid that he was overthinking. If it wasn't Elizabeth Plimpton's help call, but someone really had something to ask him, ignoring it would not be a good choice. Besides, as long as he was firm in his attitude, he would only refuse once at most. Elizabeth Plimpton is a genius scientist and a future top quantum cosmologist. Even if she is not as hard-working as Peggy and Sheldon, she will definitely spend a lot of time on scientific research. How could she have so much time to harass Adam? After thinking this through, Adam called back. Hello, I'm Adam Duncan. Dr. Duncan. Hello, this is Elizabeth. The phone rang for a while before it was connected. Elizabeth's laughter came from the other end of the phone. Dr. Plimpton, is there something you want to talk to me about? Adam pretended not to know. It's like this, Dr. Duncan, I have some medical questions that I want to ask you in person. I wonder when you are free? Elizabeth's soft voice was originally normal, but it always sounded strange to Adam. Can't we talk on the phone? Adam declined. It's hard to say. Elizabeth asked. Is there anything inconvenient? Yes, Adam nodded. I'm just an intern and don't have the qualifications to treat patients at home. You should have a family doctor, right? He is a doctor with an independent medical license and has more experience than me. I know, Elizabeth said softly, but I believe that ordinary people may not be able to do as well as a genius who has extraordinary talents. And one day, I heard from Leonard that you were very good in medical school. Now that you have become a real doctor, you must be even better. I believe you have a lot of experience, and this matter is a bit private. I hope that the one who helps me is not only a doctor, but also my friend. Dr. Duncan, can you be my friend? Adam's mouth twitched. He always felt that Elizabeth was driving, but there was no evidence. She was right. From her personal experience, it is true that a genius can do things in one day, and an ordinary person may not be able to do them in his entire life. Of course, for Leonard's sake, Adam could not bluntly reject Elizabeth's advances, so he had to say tactfully, if you really need it, you can come to the outpatient clinic of the New York Medical Center to see me. Really? Elizabeth cheered on the other end of the phone and said, I'll be there tomorrow. Adam. P.S. Thanks to Miju Swoo and book friend 20180409222404721 for the reward. Chapter 368. I've never seen this. Monday, 5 in the morning, routine ward rounds. No announcement that the dean was leading the team, no doctors blocking the corridor, no background music. There were only patients who complained after being woken up early, and interns who smiled after completing the procedure. Adam met Christina in the corridor. What are you doing? Adam looked at Christina in surprise, who was staring. Try the staring technique. Christina still tried to stare as wide as possible. Legend has it that there is a mysterious Dr. X in Cuba. Every time she performs surgery, her eyes are stared as wide as possible. The success rate of the surgery is amazing. It is called the staring technique. I will try it to see if it works. Haha. Adam couldn't help laughing. Every doctor has his own little habits. You don't really think that this habit can become a universal surgical procedure, do you? Besides, people who dare to stare like this are probably a pair of big Caroline eyes. No matter how you stare, it won't have that effect. Christina stared at Adam, put away her squinting eyes, turned around and left. Beep, beep. The pager rang. Adam picked it up and looked at it, then walked quickly toward Dr. Burke. "You're looking for me?" Adam pushed the door open and went in, a little surprised. This was the first time that Dr. Burke took the initiative to call him. In the ward, a black man in his 30s was lying on the bed, and a black woman with a big belly was standing next to him. Dr. Burke was chatting with them, and his words and deeds were clearly like good friends. Adam probably understood something. "Bill, Holly, this is the best intern in our hospital, Dr. Duncan. He will be your bedside doctor and help you with various examinations. Don't worry, we will find out the cause of the disease." Dr. Burke introduced the black couple, and then looked at Adam. "Dr. Duncan, Bill is my good friend. You have to take good care of him. Understand?" "I understand," Adam thought to himself, as expected, and agreed readily. Doctors are also human beings. As human beings, they have favors. When good friends come to their own field, they naturally have to arrange the best treatment. And who is the best intern? It is Adam. Adam's medical knowledge, emergency level, and keen insight are all recognized as being amazing. He doesn't look like an intern at all, but more like a senior resident. As the attending physician and acting chief of surgery, Dr. Burke couldn't personally accompany his good friend to do all the tedious examinations and pre- and post-operative care. The condition is complicated and changeable. A good doctor in charge of the bed is likely to save the life of a good friend in critical situations. The tattooed masochist last time is proof of this. Therefore, even though Adam is Leonard's man, Dr. Burke still chose Adam at the first opportunity. The patient showed abdominal pain and hematuria. The initial examination showed no results. The urology department recommended a cystoscopy. Dr. Burke said, "Get ready and follow me into the operating room." "Yes," Adam agreed with a smile. It's good to have something to do as soon as he gets to work. Cystoscopy also reminded him of Sheldon's famous saying, "I'm in charge of my bladder." Thinking of Sheldon muttering this sentence seriously, and then running to the toilet without controlling his bladder, Adam's smile became even happier. Operating room. After disinfection and local anesthesia, Adam inserted the cystoscope. The technique was skillful. Dr. Burke nodded secretly. The patient Bill was lying on the operating table. The local anesthesia made him unable to feel the presence of the cystoscope. Otherwise, as a man, he would definitely feel uncomfortable. "This is inserting a catheter from the urethra." "Thank you, Preston." Bill thanked Dr. Burke. "I know this is beyond your duties. This is a matter for the urology department. It's just that they can't find the problem." If it were an ordinary patient, if they couldn't find the problem, they would have to transfer to another hospital to find a better urologist, or go back and endure it themselves. But as a good friend of the acting chief of surgery, it would naturally be a different process. The best doctors consult and the best care, with the efforts of all parties. As long as it is not an unprecedented, difficult and complicated disease, the cause can be found. Even if it can't be found, it is still easy to alleviate the condition or relieve the pain. It doesn't matter, it just gives my intern something to do. Dr. Burke smiled. "I guess he keeps you busy." The patient looked at Adam and joked, "We used to be members of a fraternity at Tulane University. We used to torture the newcomers who wanted to join the fraternity. Now he comes to torture you interns, am I right?" Haha. Adam smiled. "Sure enough, he is another fraternity member." "Sure enough, they all like to torture newcomers." "I can tell you more about his embarrassing stories." The patient talked a lot about sex. In fact, it is understandable. This is to cover up and relieve the fear in his heart. But Adam would not respond or agree. Gossiping about the embarrassing stories of the big boss in front of him is something only a fool would do. Bill, the cystoscope is in your body now. This is not a good time to expose my shortcomings, Dr. Burke interrupted. If the good friend really exposed the secret, would the authority of the superior doctor still be there? Adam glanced at Dr. Burke and understood what he meant, but he was very amused in his heart. Authority comes from medical skills, and also from distance. Just look at Dr. Shept, another strong competitor of the chief of surgery. Ever since the indescribable incident with his intern Meredith, the authority of the senior doctor has been thrown to the ground. In the neurosurgery operation performed last week, Meredith dared to question and refute Dr. Shept's decision in public. The key is that it was later proved that Dr. Shept was worthy of being a famous neurosurgeon and his decision was correct. If Meredith had followed his self-righteous approach, the patient might have died. Under normal circumstances, if the doctor dared to do this, he would have been punished long ago. But Meredith just sighed and praised her and was let off lightly. That's right, Dr. Shept is in love with Meredith. What else can he do except forgive her? The reason why Adam laughed in his heart was because he noticed the ambiguity between Christina and Dr. Burke. Who knows when it will become a messy relationship like Dr. Shept and Meredith. At that time, the authority will still be lost. Is it serious? The patient's pregnant wife Holly also accompanied him into the operating room. Seeing that Adam and Burke did not accept her husband's jokes, she suddenly became nervous. We'll know after this test, Dr. Burke comforted. Pay attention to the fetus. Don't worry about anything else. Adam found something unusual and couldn't help but remind him. Dr. Burke, what's going on? Holly asked in surprise. Dr. Burke took a look and was also a little frightened, but he said calmly, Dr. Duncan, do a biopsy on the thing and arrange a CT scan. After giving the instructions, he comforted his friends again. There are several possibilities. Don't worry yet. After Adam finished the biopsy and CT scan, he looked at the test results and was a little stunned. It's really rare to see this. Chapter 369. This is a disease and needs to be treated. Medical Center. Dr. Burke, this is the patient's CT scan. Adam reported. There is a bulge in the patient's bladder that is clearly growing. Tumor? Dr. Burke was startled and took the CT scan and looked at it. Look at these edges. It doesn't look like a tumor. Yes, it's not a tumor. Adam handed him the biopsy report again. According to chromosome analysis, the DNA in the patient's body comes from 2 different embryos and was formed in the uterus. This bulge that looks like an ovary is really an ovary. What? Dr. Burke was shocked. Bill has an ovary in his bladder? Adam was also amazed. Although medical books have recorded such hermaphroditic cases, Adam was still shocked when he actually encountered it. After reading the biopsy report, Dr. Burke was sure that Adam was not joking with him and had not made a wrong diagnosis. His good buddy really had an ovary. Through the glass window, Dr. Burke and his good buddy Bill in the ward looked at each other and forced a smile. I don't know if it was an illusion. Dr. Burke actually felt that Bill suddenly looked much more handsome. It's like someone giving you something. You didn't feel anything at first. But when the price tag is revealed, under the incredible light of money, the feeling is instantly different. Damn it, Dr. Burke cursed inwardly, but there was no way. He was Bill's attending physician. He had to make it clear in person. Go inform Dr. Knox of the gynecology department, Dr. Burke ordered. We have an ovary that needs to be removed. Adam nodded and left. The process went smoothly. Dr. Knox is the best gynecologist. Originally, it would take a long time to make an appointment for her to do the operation. But the acting chief of surgery said that no matter how busy he was, he had to do this operation first. As for those who have already made an appointment, they can only postpone it. Moreover, he has always performed operations on women. Now he has to perform oophorectomy on a man. Not to mention gynecologists, any doctor with aspirations will not refuse. How did you gain experience? How did you improve your reputation? In addition to the success rate of conventional operations, it is the resume of various rare operations. Others have not done it and cannot do it, but you have done it. This is the biggest asset. Outside the ward, Adam watched Dr. Burke talking to the patient through the glass window, and he was tactful enough not to go in for the time being. The tissue we found is not a tumor. That's a good thing, right? Any disease is better than cancer. Bill was overjoyed. Dr. Burke lowered his head and told him the tricky question. "What, you said I'm a man with ovaries?" Bill was immediately confused. "This is like telling a girl that you are actually a cute girl with a big gun." "Well, it's really a cute girl with a big gun, and the cute girl must know it herself." It should be the same reaction of a man who likes cute girls when he sees a cute girl pulling out a gun. This situation is very rare. Just think of it as something wrong when God created man. Dr. Burke comforted. Bill was silent for a moment, and said in a trembling voice, "I'm still a man, right?" "Of course." Dr. Burke immediately gave an affirmative answer. "A man among men, a real man. You don't even know what's growing in your body, so as long as you remove it, everything will be back to normal. I have arranged the best gynecologist for you, and the operation can be performed immediately." Bill nodded with a complicated expression. He is a grown man, and he is going to see a gynecologist for surgery. If Adam heard what he was thinking, he would definitely say, "This is not a big deal. Men who are abused by their families in Dongo also go to the Women's Federation." Seeing that Dr. Burke had finished explaining and the patient nodded in agreement, Adam pushed the door and walked in. "Dr. Burke, Dr. Knox is ready and can perform the surgery at any time." "Very good." Dr. Burke nodded. The surgery was quickly arranged. As the attending physician, Adam followed Dr. Burke and Dr. Knox into the operating room. The surgery went smoothly, but there was also an unexpected episode. "This matter is confidential," Dr. Burke explained after leaving the operating room. "Okay." Adam agreed immediately. Dr. Burke put his hands on his waist and left with a headache. It was really a wave before another wave came. It was already a headache that my good buddy had an ovary in his body. But just after solving this problem, he found out during the operation that Bill's vas efferents had always been blocked, and his wife was going to give birth in 5 weeks. It was already noon. Adam went to the cafeteria. "Why are there only the two of you?" Adam was surprised to see that only George and Meredith were sitting there. Liz went to see Alex. Meredith smiled and said, "As for Christina, I don't know. She's been a little mysterious lately." "Indeed," George agreed. "She asked me to cover for her this morning." "What?" Meredith was shocked and said, "Christina asked you to cover for her?" "It seems that she really has something to do, and it's a big deal." Adam was thoughtful. "Christina is a well-known strong woman. She almost regards the hospital as her home. She completely ignores the hospital's mandatory 566 regulations. Even if she has a cold and a fever, she supports her shaking body and insists on her post. When rushing for surgery, she is always the most active. Such a woman. Now she has asked someone to cover for her." "Adam, do you think Liz is stupid?" George didn't care much about Christina, but he couldn't help complaining to Adam about Liz. She used to be bullied by Alex, but now they are like best friends. Whenever she has time, she will go to see him. The key is that his attitude is still very bad. What do you think Liz is thinking? Alex was saved, but he also entered the palace. If he was in the ancient forbidden palace of the East Country, it would be good for him, because everything was removed, and the removal was very clean and thorough. He didn't have to suffer the pain of minor repair every 3 years and major repair every 5 years, and repeated surgery. But he used to be a playboy, but now he has entered the palace, facing so many stunning beauties in the 3 palaces and 6 courtyards, he can only watch in the future. That kind of pain, you know, although after the removal, there will be no strong feeling of suffocation caused by not being able to use the power after the removal. But there are more than just those 2 places that can produce male hormones. The human body's adrenaline can also produce some sex hormones. So, there is no strong feeling of suffocation. But once the stimulation is too great, Alex still has credibility. He has it, but he is powerless, and his psychology is easily abnormal. Faced with Liz's behavior of not holding grudges and doubling her kindness, Alex is sometimes moved and sometimes angry. Liz is happy about it. She is sick and needs to be treated. Adam shook his head. There is indeed such a person who has a special care impulse for patients or people with special defects that far exceeds that for ordinary people. It is a bit like the guilt of survivors. Most of them have some kind of defects themselves. So the question is, what is the situation with Liz? P.S. Thanks to Tandixoan Huang 1916. GLLL. and alum for the rewards. Chapter 370. Don't bully your friend's wife. Medical center. Cafeteria. Liz is just stupid, not sick. George, as a good friend, was a little unhappy with Adam's statement. Okay. Adam did not argue, and smiled. Just think she is stupid. Now she may just be stupid at the beginning. There will be more stupid things in the future. No way. George was surprised. I am a psychology major, Adam reminded. I have seen many such cases. Among them, there is a case that is very similar to Liz's current situation. She is also a female doctor. Guess what she did later? What did she do? Meredith's attention was also withdrawn from reminiscing about the dream weekend with Mr. Fantasy on Sunday. She later chose to marry the cancer patient so that he would not die alone. Adam did not beat around the bush and directly revealed the answer. What? George and Meredith shouted in unison. They were all shocked. You said that if the female doctor fell in love with the cancer patient and gave him a good memory of his last time, they would understand. After all, donating the flesh and blood is not a big deal here. But marriage is still more sacred in the eyes of Americans. How can caring for patients be linked to the love of marriage? How difficult must it be for the bride, a female doctor, to face the death of her husband right after her wedding? For the rest of her life, her heart will be cut and she will feel a dull pain. She's gone too far. Meredith frowned. Will Liz be like this too? George was worried. I hope not. Meredith's face changed. She suddenly thought then Liz was facing a worse situation than that female doctor. Alex was only castrated, and he didn't have cancer, so he wouldn't die immediately. If Liz learned from that female doctor, she would have no happiness in her life. This is terrible. Do you think the story ends here? Adam looked at them with interest. What happened later? George and Meredith asked again in unison. The first part is a fairy tale, and the second part is reality. Adam sighed. After getting married, facing her husband who was about to die, the bride doctor awakened her husband's desire to live as a wife, and actively cooperated with his wife's treatment plan. The bride doctor was worried about her husband. Fortunately, her husband's good friend has been with her and helped her. When he said this, George and Meredith's faces became strange. Needless to say, they probably guessed what was going on. A friend's wife should not be bullied. Sorry. This is the United States. We must obey the call of our hearts and do whatever we want. This is freedom. They fell in love? Meredith asked with a complicated expression. I don't know. Adam shook his head. In the case, the bride doctor only said that she fell in love with her husband's good friend, and she also felt that they loved each other, but I put 2 question marks on this. 2 question marks? Meredith was puzzled. That good friend was probably just hormonal, and it was hard to say whether he loved her or not. It was normal to put a question mark, but what was the other question mark? I don't think the bride, the doctor, is really in love. Adam laughed. Just like I don't think she loves her husband. If it's all love, don't you think love comes too quickly and goes too quickly? Love is too cheap. Most likely she doesn't understand love at all. She just feels touched and impulsive for a moment and thinks she loves him. In How I Met Your Mother, the heroine Robin once said, I'm always like this. One moment, we were in love, and the next moment, he was already a dead man to me. This sentence made Ted, who was in love with her at the time, feel cold at heart. He stared at his girlfriend in a daze. Even though Robin repeatedly called him dear and said that he was an exception, he could only accept this explanation with a forced smile. But what did he really think? What happened in the end? George was a man after all, and he thought of the real male protagonist in this love triangle. Where is her husband? Dead. Adam sighed. The bride, a female doctor, is so emotional that she is not good at hiding her feelings for her new lover. Otherwise, she would not have impulsively married a cancer patient not long after knowing each other. Before her husband died, he must have known that his wife and her good friend were in love. I don't know if he was given another choice. Would he be willing to accept this ending, or would he rather die alone? George was silent. Meredith said, I think he should choose this ending. After all, in the last period of his life, he had such a happy experience. Even if the final ending is not good, it is better than dying alone. Maybe he will bless them in the end. Adam's mouth twitched. In the East Country, First falling in love and then betraying before death is a complete act of revenge. For example, Huan, Yui and the like. Anyway, Yongzhen and the King of Qin almost died with regrets. Of course, they can also say that they wish them well, want to see them happy in front of them, and can't bear to miss this last romantic scene. That female doctor has been living in self-blame. Adam did not refute Meredith, but just stated the facts slightly. Meredith was speechless. What is there to argue about? Why is she so self-blame? Isn't the answer already? It must be that the female doctor's husband did not die with a smile. This is also the normal reaction of an average man. Now that you say that, I am more worried about Liz. George was worried. Reality is too cruel. He didn't want Liz to follow the old path of that female doctor. Adam, how do you think we can help her? No, no, no. Adam shook his head and said, don't count me in. This kind of thing is always thankless. I won't get involved. I advise you not to get involved too much. Just give some advice. You also said that Liz is just stupid, not sick. George was a little embarrassed. Before, he just wanted to protect his best friend, but now it seems that what Adam said is right. The best friend is not stupid, but is really sick and must be treated. Adam left quickly after reading. Dr. Burke trusts him and entrusts his good friend to his care, so he must take it to heart and put this trust and favor into practice. With one more appreciation from the attending physician, there will be many more opportunities. He will not waste time persuading Liz, who is probably already too excited, and he doesn't even need to go. He can imagine Liz's attitude. She probably thinks she is engaged in a sacred cause, which is her freedom and belief. Anyone who persuades her is infringing on her or discriminating against Alex. On the way back to the ward, Adam suddenly thought, it's noon now, why hasn't Elizabeth come yet? P.S. Thanks to Mr. Shadow 002 for the reward. Chapter 371, which medical center has the best hard-teasing technology? 2. The patient Bill has not woken up yet. Adam checked all the data indicators and they all showed normal. Then, looking at Bill sleeping soundly on the bed, thinking that he was born infertile and his wife was about to give birth, he felt a sense of absurdity. No other reason. The key is that the first impression this couple gave Adam was love. Who knows? No wonder I heard that Dr. House next door has always been deeply suspicious and complained about human nature. He often likes to test human nature, and the results are always as expected. It's really that human nature has too many weaknesses and too few shining points. Staying in the hospital for a long time, it's easy to see all kinds of weaknesses. Adam estimated that after a while, when he sees such a loving couple again, his first thought will no longer be appreciation, but scrutiny. Is this true love, or is it a show of love? What kind of ugliness without surprises is hidden under the surface of love? Your marriage is simply a scam. At this moment, Dr. Burke's suppressed angry accusation came from outside the ward. It seems that Dr. Burke thought about it for a long time, and finally he couldn't sit back and watch his good friend live in such a passable happiness, and didn't choose to pretend to be ignorant of it's difficult for a judge to judge family affairs. We are very happy now, the patient's wife Holly retorted. We have wanted a child for a long time. Why do you want to take away his happiness? Does he know you cheated? Dr. Burke hit the nail on the head. Holly paused, adjusted her tone, and no longer spoke with confidence, but instead begged, Preston, this is a matter between us. Please forget about it. Why can't you just let it go? Because Bill is my best buddy, and he doesn't know that the child is not his, Dr. Burke said angrily. Holly, you should tell him. Why? Holly put away her begging and said angrily, I won't let your values ruin my life. If you are really his good buddy, you shouldn't tell him. As long as he doesn't know, he won't be sad. If you tell him, you are deliberately making him sad. Dr. Burke. Adam. What a powerful logic. What a confident. If Holly wasn't a family member of a patient and a pregnant woman about to give birth, and it wasn't his business, he really wanted to go over and say a few words. What do you mean by your values? Burke's values are clearly universal values, and they are not distorted versions. Normal people should abide by them. Otherwise, why would Dr. Burke ask you in advance and let you say it yourself? If he told your good buddy directly at that time, how could you have the opportunity to quibble now? Isn't it because he abides by universal values? And if you, Holly, look down on this set of values so much and think it will ruin your life, why do you still ask Dr. Burke not to say this for the sake of your good buddy? Considering your good buddy is also a universal value. So if it is beneficial to you, you have to abide by it. If it doesn't agree with you, it's garbage. Adam saw some powerful figures in her. Whatever. Dr. Burke was speechless for a moment, sneered and said, "Friends may not say it, but I am still his attending physician, and doctors will not hide anything from patients." After that, he turned away without wanting to look at his sister-in-law Holly again. Holly stood there with a complicated expression. She hated Burke. She complained about herself. She touched her belly. In the end, she didn't enter the ward and just left. Adam was stunned. What kind of operation was this? Without leaving an explanation, without trying to keep him, he just left in a hurry? Could it be the basic operation of divorce in the United States? While Bill is still in the hospital, find a good divorce lawyer for consultation to maximize the benefits? It's really possible when you think about it. In The Big Bang Theory, the entomologist who was consulted by Sheldon and Howard was doing research outside. His wife took away all his property while he was not at home and ran away with someone. This run, isn't it running away? The entomologist knew where the couple was afterward, but he was powerless to do anything. It can only mean that taking away all the property is probably legal. This is the power of being prepared in advance and finding a good divorce lawyer. Otherwise, why can lawyers be called typical middle-class professions together with doctors who treat diseases and save lives? One saves lives, the other saves money. Adam couldn't help but take another look at the patient. At this time, the patient just woke up. "You woke up, Dr. Duncan. It seems that the operation was successful." Bill smiled weakly. "Dr. Knox is the best gynecologist, and Dr. Burke personally assisted. The operation was very successful." Adam smiled. "Thank you." Bill was very happy and looked sideways. "Where's my wife?" Adam paused, stood up and checked the data, and said, "I don't know. I will call Dr. Burke for you." "Thank you." Bill didn't think much about it. "Dr. Burke, the patient is awake." Adam found Dr. Burke. Dr. Burke had a complicated expression, thought about it, and walked toward two. "Is Holly there?" "No, the patient was asking just now." Adam pretended not to know. This kind of thing is not a glorious thing. He believed that Dr. Burke didn't want him to know. Moreover, the operation was over, and the post-operative effect looked very good. Adam had basically completed Dr. Burke's entrustment perfectly. That was enough. Following Dr. Burke to the outside of Ward 2, Adam walked away tactfully when he saw that Dr. Burke had no other instructions. Ding-ling-ling, the cell phone rang. Adam opened it and his eyes froze. After all, she came. "Okay, I'll come." Adam answered the phone, said something, and went to the outpatient department. "Dr. Duncan." A young nurse pointed to the closed door of the ward. Adam understood and pushed the door open. As expected, Elizabeth Plimpton was standing there. "Dr. Plimpton, Dr. Duncan." Elizabeth looked at Adam happily and did not mention that she should not use such an unfamiliar name. "You know, when they met yesterday, she asked Adam to call her Elizabeth. Are you feeling uncomfortable?" Adam asked. This. Elizabeth glanced at the young nurse who followed in. "Can we talk alone?" "No, this is the hospital rule," the young nurse said expressionlessly. "Does your hospital have this rule?" "Elizabeth is not an ordinary person." She laughed when she heard it. "The patient's privacy is not protected?" The young nurse's face froze. "Okay, you go out first." Adam thought about it and decided to make a quick decision and get rid of Elizabeth as soon as possible so that everyone would not have to worry. It was broad daylight now, and he didn't believe she could do anything. The little nurse had to leave unhappily. "Can you tell me now?" Adam smiled. "My heartbeat seems to be abnormal," Elizabeth said softly. "Okay, I'll take a look." Adam turned around to get the stethoscope. He is a surgeon, not an internist, so the stethoscope is not hung around his neck all the time. Then when he got the stethoscope, he turned around and his mouth twitched suddenly. "What are you doing?" "I asked you to listen to the heartbeat," Elizabeth said innocently. Adam turned sideways and didn't look directly at the ignorant and innocent Elizabeth. "Put on your clothes. We can hear the heartbeat through the clothes." "Really?" Elizabeth smiled and said. "Mine?" or yours. Adam, if you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 372, Adam the Iron-Boned. Medical Center. Outpatient Ward. Dr. Duncan, come here. Elizabeth was very engaged. Is there something wrong with my heart? Why don't you come and listen? Dr. Plimpton, please get dressed. Adam suppressed the complaints in his heart, turned sideways and said seriously, I don't know what Leonard said to you, but I'm not the kind of person you think. I know you're a serious person. The smile on Elizabeth's face was about to overflow, so she simply stepped forward, stretched out her hand to try to grab Adam's hand, and forced Adam to listen to her heart. You are a doctor, I will listen to you, Tilda. Adam's mouth twitched, avoiding her hand, looking straight into her eyes, and said in a deep voice, I'm serious, not playing a cosplay game. Elizabeth was stunned, looked at Adam carefully, and found that she seemed to have really misunderstood. I'm sorry. She quickly put on her clothes and said apologetically, I heard Leonard say, I thought you were my confidant. It's all Leonard's fault. Adam smiled bitterly. He likes you very much, and sometimes he has to exaggerate. Can you understand? I understand. Elizabeth nodded, but there was an indelible loss in her eyes. Clinging? Don't be ridiculous. Although she loves to play cosplay games with a 50-degree level, she is an outstanding genius scientist after all. This kind of game is just her hobby, not her everything. So seeing Adam's attitude, she quickly recovered. I'm fine. Elizabeth smiled and said, thank you, Dr. Duncan, for your treatment. You're welcome. Adam also admired her attitude. Elizabeth left. The young nurses looked at Adam with admiration. They all said that Dr. Duncan was romantic, but in the face of such a beautiful woman with temperament, and it was obvious that she was plotting something bad, Dr. Duncan could remain calm and unmoved. He is simply the representative of a good man, isn't he? The next time someone slanders their Dr. Duncan for being a playboy, they will definitely not tolerate it. Adam didn't care about other people's eyes. In a corner of the corridor of the hospital building, there is a small cart that sells food and drinks to medical staff. Doctors come to replenish their energy from time to time. When Adam walked by, he saw George, Christina, Meredith and others lying on the cart, eating bread and drinking coffee. Adam, want something to eat? George greeted enthusiastically. Adam glanced at the cart. There was no special braised pork feet or other delicacies. It was not attractive at all. He shook his head and said, no, I'm not hungry. Christina and others were gossiping while eating. Adam habitually stood aside and listened, first to increase his knowledge of new cases, and second to grasp the latest trends in the hospital. But today he was a little absent-minded. There was no way, since he was promoted to a super genius. The high-definition image memory he copied from Sheldon has been fully loaded successfully. Although this ability is very helpful for his study and work, it also has some side effects. For example, right now, Elizabeth's scenes just now clearly emerged in his mind, and they could not be shaken off. She is indeed a senior cosplayer. She came to the hospital in broad daylight and dared to go naked. Is it for convenience? Adam couldn't help but complain in his heart. Seeing her serious posture, Adam deeply suspected that if he was not too upright and serious, she might really dare to stage a doctor and patient's daytime medical consultation drama. What a play! Adam sighed, and couldn't help but magnify the details countless times. But he was thinking, forget it, I can't let her go in vain, so I just help her diagnose and rule out possible diseases. It's also my intention. Alas, ruthlessness may not be a true hero. He is iron-willed, but he is still very gentle in his heart. Adam, Christina's cry interrupted Adam's diagnosis. What are you thinking about? So absent-minded? Nothing. Adam smiled. I heard that you performed a hermaphroditoiphorectomy today, Christina enviously asked. Did Burke ask you to take charge? Yeah. Adam looked at her with a half-smile. Don't be envious. In fact, if you hadn't been busy with something important these days, Dr. Burke would have asked you to take charge. Christina's level is the best except for Adam. If she hadn't intentionally or unintentionally avoided Dr. Burke these days, given her ambiguous relationship with Dr. Burke would probably have been entangled between her and Adam for a while. "What's the big deal about me?" Christina avoided Adam's gaze and said stubbornly, "You must have something to do." Meredith couldn't help but say Adam's logic. Christina's eyes flickered immediately. "Hey, did you smell it?" George suddenly came very close and secretly winked at everyone. "What?" Christina quickly took over the topic. "Over there, the anesthesiologist, Dr. Taylor." George glanced at a middle-aged male doctor standing not far away. "He seems to be a bit of an alcoholic, as long as he is not working during the day. You don't care whether he is an alcoholic or not," Meredith said dissatisfiedly. "We go back at night, don't we drink to relax?" "We are drinking," Adam joked. "You are an alcoholic." In the United States, alcoholism is simply too common, and members of the Alcoholics Anonymous Association are all over the country. Meredith obviously has a tendency to alcoholism. Once she drinks too much, her pants fall down, and no one can stop her. She gets drunk at any time. It is normal for her to refute George. "I just mean during working hours," George whispered. Dr. Shept admitted a young patient. "I am the attending physician. I seem to smell alcohol on Dr. Taylor, so I asked you if you smell it." "No." Meredith shook her head. "George, don't ask for trouble," Christina reminded. "Dr. Taylor is the most powerful anesthesiologist in the hospital. If you offend him, you will definitely be kicked out of the operating room, and you will not be able to enter the operating room whenever he is around in the future. Do you believe it?" "But he is so mean." George was entangled and said, "The patient trusts him so much. Should I report it?" "The patient trusts the attending Dr. Shept." Adam glanced at him. "It is Dr. Shept who trusts him and asks him to be an anesthesiologist. If you really think it is necessary, don't say it in public. Secretly report it to Dr. Shept, and then it will be none of your business." After all, the right and responsibility of the operation belong to Dr. Shept. Although George sometimes licks without principles when facing the goddess Meredith, but in normal state, he still has a strong sense of justice. Otherwise, a small intern actually has the idea of telling the snit about the most powerful anesthesiologist in the hospital. Once the anesthesiologist is angry, Christina's reminder is not empty talk. No attending doctor would be willing to offend a top anesthesiologist for an intern who tells snitches. Therefore, Adam still gave a suggestion. P.S. Thanks to Taro Sesame Paste and Demon Aber for the tips. Chapter 373 The furious anesthesiologist ate something at random. Even though it was tea time, everyone dispersed from the stroller. Adam went back to Ward 2 to check on Bill's condition and saw that he was in an unusually low mood. It was obvious that Dr. Burke had told him the truth. Adam couldn't say much about this kind of thing. This was the cruel reality. He had to bear it himself. However, Adam still told the nurse to pay more attention and call him immediately if anything happened. Then Adam ran to the observation room. Dr. Shept had a hemispherectomy in the afternoon. This was an advanced neurosurgery operation. The patient was a 2-year-old girl who had Rasmussen's encephalitis. Half of her brain was normal, and the other half was almost completely necrotic. This operation required the removal of all diseased tissues in the patient's brain, that is, the removal of the damaged half of the brain. Fortunately, the little girl was only 2 years old and her brain had not yet fully matured. After the cerebrospinal fluid refilled the cavity, the remaining nerve cells would regenerate and compensate. Theoretically, if the operation was successful, the little girl could live a normal life in the future. Adam really wanted to participate in this operation, but this time, Dr. Shept directly named George to participate, which made him helpless. First of all, George was the little girl's doctor. Secondly, Dr. Shept was obviously planning to bribe George with this operation, because George was Meredith's roommate, and Dr. Shept now slept at Meredith's house almost every night. He had to appease George's hostility and dissatisfaction. What could be more impressive than an advanced neurosurgery operation to impress intern George? Let him put aside his hostility and dissatisfaction, and shout, "It smells so good." This kind of power, Even the rival in love has become like this. Can you blame others for questioning that your love is not a bullshit love at all, but a power and unspeakable transaction? Don't be ridiculous. Observing the operating room, the cleaning and disinfection area outside. Here, double espresso, warm. A surgical nurse brought a cup of coffee to the chief surgeon. Dr. Shept, I love you so much. Dr. Shept thanked him and drank the coffee in one breath. This operation will last a long time, and he must be highly focused. Adam couldn't help but smile when he saw this scene. Each chief surgeon has a medical team that he is comfortable with. Once anesthesiologists and surgical nurses work well together, they almost always work together for a long time. For example, the old nurse who had pancreatic cancer and was waiting to die in the hospital was Meredith's mother's full-time surgical nurse for 18 years. They are familiar with each other's habits and work well together. This made Adam think that once he becomes the chief surgeon in the future, he will also have to build his own medical team. I just don't know what his medical team will be like in the future. Thinking about it, I am really looking forward to it. I hope you brought a new word game. Dr. Shept finished his coffee, threw the cup into the trash can, and casually greeted Dr. Taylor, the anesthesiologist who has been working with him since he came to the medical center. Anesthesiologist Dr. Taylor patted his chest pocket, which contained a word game book. I carry it with me. The work of anesthesiologists is relatively easy, but they must stay in the operating room throughout the whole process and pay attention to the patient's anesthesia. For an awesome anesthesiologist like Dr. Taylor, this kind of work is too trivial. Then there is a problem. Just like an old driver driving on an endless and uninhabited highway, he is even at risk of falling asleep after a long time. The anesthesiologist stayed in the operating room, and spent most of his time sitting and waiting. How to kill time. Dr. Taylor's public pastime was to play word games, but secretly, he drank a little wine to get a little tipsy. Adam in the observation room was a little surprised. It looked like George didn't say anything. At this time, George also subconsciously looked at Adam, and immediately lowered his head and walked into the operating room. Adam couldn't help laughing out loud. The sense of justice couldn't beat the smell of participating in such advanced neurosurgery, not to mention the danger of being targeted by anesthesiologist Taylor in the future. Welcome to the real world. Adam sighed in his heart. George could find the problem. So Dr. Shept and the operating nurses who had performed so many operations with anesthesiologist Taylor were all fools, and their noses were permanently blocked? Of course not. In fact, Adam had already asked the nurses. Everyone knew about the behavior of anesthesiologist Dr. Taylor. There was even a joke. Dr. Taylor was the best anesthesiologist in the medical center. If he was so drunk that he couldn't even do a crossword puzzle, everyone would be worried. After hearing this, what else could be said? Today is a big day, young man. Congratulations. Anesthesiologist Dr. Taylor greeted George warmly. In his opinion, Dr. Shept was willing to take George for such a major operation, which meant that George was Shept's man, and it was a good thing to show some goodwill. Thank you. George's smile was a little stiff, and he couldn't help but look up at Adam in the observation room on the second floor. Adam smiled at him. George gritted his teeth, retracted his gaze, and looked straight at Dr. Shept next to him. What's wrong? This look was too direct. Dr. Shept asked casually, did you smell? George hesitated. What do you smell? No one expected that George would dare to bring up such a thing in person, so Shept didn't think about it at all. He pointed to his mask with a smile and said, I'm wearing a mask. Adam in the observation room on the second floor grinned and said inwardly, oh my God, I just have a normal and kind smile. I don't mean to laugh at you at all. George, don't think too much. Unfortunately, George was young and hot-tempered, and he got carried away. George glanced at the anesthetized little girl and couldn't help it anymore. He asked the anesthesiologist, sorry, Dr. Taylor, have you ever drunk alcohol? Say it again. Anesthesiologist Dr. Taylor's face changed drastically, and his eyes were fixed on George. Everyone in the operating room stopped and looked over at the same time, their eyes full of disbelief. Is this little intern crazy? He's so brave. Don't you smell it? George was also panicking, pretending to smell left and right, but still said with a stiff upper lip, I smell the smell of alcohol. How dare you ask me such a question? Anesthesiologist Taylor went crazy. This kind of operation is recorded throughout the whole process. If he admits and is recorded again, it will be a big trouble. George, you are crossing the line, Dr. Shep warned. The hospital has rules. George was completely furious. The rules are made for a reason. There is a 2-year-old girl lying on the stage. We can't take advantage of others' weaknesses like this. It's not your turn as a shitty intern to teach me what is risk. Anesthesiologist Dr. Taylor sneered. Get him out, Shep. Dr. Shep looked at the anesthesiologist steadily. Shep? Anesthesiologist Taylor called again. George, you get out. Dr. Shep retracted his gaze and made an expected decision. George walked out of the operating room woodenly. Taylor, you'd better be fully prepared for me, Shep reminded in a low voice. Otherwise I won't be standing here. Anesthesiologist Taylor replied calmly. As the most powerful anesthesiologist in the medical center, he and Dr. Shep are just partners, and he doesn't have to look at Dr. Shep's face at all. Dr. Shep glanced at him again, thought for a moment, and told the nurse, call Dr. Duncan and have him come over immediately. This is a teaching hospital. After George was kicked out of the operating room, a position was vacated, and another intern needed a chance. The first choice for this kind of benefit would naturally be Meredith, but now that this has happened, Dr. Shep is not sure how Meredith will react when she smells the alcohol on Taylor. In addition, such a bad thing has happened before the operation has even started. To be on the safe side, he simply chose the most stable and outstanding Adam as his assistant. P.S. Thank you Ayaha for the reward. Chapter 374 What do you, an intern, know about anesthesia? Observation room. As soon as Shep said this, Adam had heard it. Although he felt a little righteous for George, he immediately stood up and ran to the operating room. To borrow Sheldon's words, who made him so weak? Washing, disinfecting and dressing, smooth as silk. So when Adam walked into the operating room, Dr. Shep was a little stunned. No other reason. It was too fast. But Dr. Shep didn't say anything. It was a good thing that his orders were carried out so efficiently. The unhappiness of George and Taylor just now had dissipated a little. Okay, let's get started. Dr. Shep nodded to Adam and announced the official start of the operation as the chief surgeon. The drill started. Observation room on the second floor. George, who was kicked out, stood in the corner, leaning against the wall with his arms folded across his chest, looking at the operating room expressionlessly. Does he regret it? Of course he regrets it, especially when he left the operating room and walked to the observation room alone. After the passion in his head subsided, he regretted it so much. What did he do? For a risk that is unlikely to happen, he offended the best anesthesiologist in the hospital. And it wasn't just Dr. Taylor, the anesthesiologist. The other doctors all had some problems to a certain extent. Would they like an intern who dared to confront them in person? The answer was self-evident. George felt that his future was bleak. Although it was a bit dark and immoral, an idea kept popping up in his mind at this moment. It would be great if the operation went wrong because of Dr. Taylor, the anesthesiologist. However, the cute smile of the patient's little girl flashed, which made George suppress this idea again and feel deeply ashamed of his dark thoughts. Adam didn't have time to pay attention to George's complex inner conflict. He was focusing on two aspects at the moment. One was naturally to be an assistant to Dr. Shep, helping him and watching Dr. Shep explain while performing the operation. The other was to pay attention to the monitor and Dr. Taylor, the anesthesiologist. That's right. Although George was a little drunk and his approach was not smooth enough, but his worries were not unreasonable. No matter how awesome an anesthesiologist is, there will be times when he fails, not to mention drinking. Since Adam entered the operating room, he naturally had to play to his strengths, eliminate unnecessary risks, and demonstrate his abilities again and again. Imagine, if Adam had not performed well enough in the past, how could Dr. Burke ask him to be responsible for his friend? How could this operation fall on him? Americans don't pay attention to moderation, and the winner takes all is the basic operation. 2 hours later, in frontal lobotomy, we will encounter the anterior cerebral artery, Dr. Shept was doing the operation and teaching at the same time, and then he noticed something was wrong and asked in surprise, "Dr. Duncan, what are you doing?" Just now, there was an abnormal fluctuation in blood pressure and heart rate on the monitor. Adam stretched out his hand and placed it on the radial artery of the patient's arm, while feeling the changes in the patient's blood pressure directly by touching. He explained, "The blood pressure is rising and the heart rate is accelerating." Dr. Shept, the anesthesia is a little shallow. Sometimes, you can't be too superstitious about the monitor. After all, it is just an instrument that samples data on the body's condition. Since it is sampling, it is normal to make mistakes. The data observed by the doctor through personal touch is more accurate and reliable. You also know anesthesia. Dr. Shept almost laughed. This is Dr. Taylor's job. Your job is to assist in the operation and study hard. Dr. Taylor seems to have fallen asleep, Adam reminded. We'd better wake him up and check the patient's anesthesia. How is it possible? Dr. Shept just said this and suddenly realized that it was really possible, because Dr. Taylor, who was sitting with his back to them, did not respond to their conversation. "Dr. Taylor, Dr. Taylor, Dr. Taylor," he called 3 times in a row, louder and angrier than the last. Sorry, I'm here." Dr. Taylor suddenly woke up and covered up. "I just took a nap. Dr. Duncan said that your anesthesia is shallow. You should check it quickly." Dr. Shept barely suppressed his anger and said expressionlessly, "Impossible." Dr. Taylor subconsciously refuted. As the most powerful anesthesiologist in the medical center, he has always been very confident in professional matters. "What do you, an intern, know about anesthesia?" Then, Dr. Taylor realized that it was another intern who questioned him, which immediately made him furious. "Are interns so awesome now?" One or two dared to embarrass him in public. "I do know a little bit," Adam said seriously. "At least I know that anesthesia is a field where even the principles of drugs have not been figured out. The effect of anesthesia depends entirely on the doctor's experience accumulation and continuous observation of the patient's clinical response, and timely adjustment." "Dr. Taylor, I suggest you check the patient's anesthesia status immediately. Once the patient wakes up, the consequences will be disastrous. If a 2-year-old girl with a skull drilled through and half of her brain removed wakes up prematurely from general anesthesia, the scene is chilling. You dare to teach me how to do things with just a little knowledge." Dr. Taylor was a little drunk. If it were any other time, he would have gone to check without saying a word. But now, he glanced at the monitor and was convinced that there was no problem with his anesthesia. Adam stopped talking and only looked at Dr. Shept. "Dr. Taylor." Dr. Shept didn't give Taylor face this time and said sternly, "Check it immediately." Taylor saw that the surgeon was angry and was afraid that the operation would really go wrong, so he had to start a serious check. It was only after this check that he found that he had indeed given a shallow anesthesia. When he picked up the anesthetic needle and injected it again, he clearly saw the patient's little girl's eyelids twitching, which scared him and quickly injected the anesthetic. "It's my fault, Shept. I promise it won't happen again." Taylor wanted to cover it up. "Steve, give me some coffee." "Yes, it will never happen here," Dr. Shept said expressionlessly. "Steve, call Dr. Pellington. Hopkins, you take over before Dr. Pellington comes." Dr. Pellington is another anesthesiologist in the hospital. "Yes, doctor." The 2 nurses agreed immediately. In the operating room, the surgeon is the absolute master. "George is right." Dr. Shept glanced at the shocked Taylor. "Go out and wake up." Taylor walked out of the operating room with a dark face. Being kicked out of the operating room is definitely a shame for a doctor, not to mention that he has always been the best anesthesiologist in the medical center. George, who witnessed all this, had a complicated expression. Adam not only prevented a possible accident, but also continued to stay in the operating room and participate in learning this advanced neurosurgery. This is simply the most perfect ending in his mind. But why did it happen to Adam again, and not him? Chapter 375. This makes sense. Observing the operating room. After anesthesiologist Taylor was kicked out, the operation continued. Dr. Shept performed the operation for a while and couldn't help but glance at Adam. "Dr. Duncan, do you really understand anesthesia?" "I understand a little." Adam smiled and said, Modern surgical operations are constantly developing on the basis of the development of anesthesia. As a surgeon, I think it's better to understand a little, so I read some books on anesthesia medicine. It's a very simple truth. How can you do surgery without anesthesia? Not everyone is Guanera. Even if Guanera is, he only scrapes the bone to heal the wound. You want him to drill the brain to heal the wound? Dr. Shept retracted his gaze and continued the operation. Too lazy to talk. You can find out in advance that the patient's anesthesia is shallow. You understand a little? Adam stopped talking and silently helped. His super genius intelligence allowed him to be a qualified tool while doing two things at the same time. What Dr. Shept said about understanding a little was naturally a humble word. At this moment, if he spoke the truth more honestly, he was worried that he would show too much and make others uncomfortable. In the United States, excellence is no problem and can be shown at any time, but if you want to show off, you should be more restrained. After all, anti-intellectualism is prevalent in the United States. Of course, those who can work in hospitals are not the main group of anti-intellectualism. However, the gap between super geniuses and smart people is even greater than the gap between smart people and ordinary Americans. It is better to be safe. Adam couldn't help but think of Juno and Karen. In fact, the previous words were first said to him by Juno. It was also because of Juno's reminder that Adam paid attention to anesthesia in advance. When he was hunting and dissecting with Juno and others in the forest cabin, he also studied and practiced anesthesia seriously. Juno was very interested at the time, which made Adam think that Juno wanted to be an anesthesiologist in the future. Later, he thought of something and threw it away. It is reasonable for Little Red Riding Hood to learn anesthesia. Compared with surgical operations, the difference between humans and animals in the practice of anesthesia is smaller. The difference in the dosage of drug efficacy can be completely corrected by the records in anesthesia books. In other words, he did not take the anesthesiologist license, otherwise he could be an anesthesiologist. Dr. Duncan, how did you find out that Dr. Taylor fell asleep? The operating room was quiet for a while, and Nurse Steve couldn't help asking. Everyone looked over. They were also curious about this question. During the operation, Dr. Taylor was facing the monitor and had his back to everyone. No one noticed it, but Adam found it, because Dr. Taylor maintained that action for 3 minutes and 27 seconds. Adam explained. 3 minutes and 27 seconds? Everyone looked at each other. You can remember all this, Dr. Shept said in disbelief. And when you were my assistant? He clearly felt that Adam was very attentive as an assistant. Whether it was assisting in the operation or answering his questions, he was the best intern he had ever seen. Actually, it's nothing. Adam smiled reservedly. You know I have a high-definition image memory. I noticed from my peripheral vision that Dr. Taylor's action has not changed. I turned to the time when he started the action and calculated the time. Isn't it? Everyone. What a good one. It's nothing. Did you notice that Dr. Taylor fell asleep a long time ago? Dr. Shep's eyes flashed. If the data from the monitor hadn't fluctuated abnormally, would you not have said it? Of course not, Adam denied. I noticed the fluctuations in the data from the monitor first, and then I realized that Dr. Taylor might have fallen asleep. Everyone's eyes suddenly became strange. Although Adam denied it, they were not fools and knew that Adam would never admit it. But the greater possibility was that it was just as Dr. Shept guessed. This result made everyone's impression of Adam more complicated. But there were mostly positive emotions. There is a principle among doctors that you can't question others. No one likes people who cross the line. After all, no one wants to be the one who is violated. Adam pointed out Dr. Taylor's mistake in public and avoided a surgical accident. The facts were in front of them, and everyone had nothing to say. But there were still some doubts in their hearts. This is human nature. But if it was as Dr. Shept guessed, then Adam's approach was completely fine, because Adam had given Dr. Taylor enough face. Everyone felt this kindness and smiled at Adam. Adam also smiled in response. Indeed, Adam, who had been keeping an eye on Dr. Taylor, discovered it within 10 seconds of Dr. Taylor falling asleep. But he didn't make it public, because if there was no problem with the anesthesia, what difference would it make whether anesthesiologist Taylor kept playing the word game or slept until the end? Adam certainly couldn't offend a top anesthesiologist for this observation room on the second floor. When George heard this, he felt terrible. They both offended people, so why did Adam get everyone's praise and support, while he had to be looked at differently by everyone? He could not forget that when he was kicked out of the operating room, everyone looked at him with surprise and confusion, with an expression of he is a stupid boy who doesn't know the height of the world. They are all interns, should they be treated differently? Anesthesiologist Dr. Parrington arrived soon and took over the remaining work, observing the patient's blood pressure, heart rate, oxygen saturation, end-tidal carbon dioxide concentration, airway pressure, BIS value, and being ready to make adjustments at any time. Fortunately, the dramatic horror disappeared completely with the departure of Dr. Taylor. Everything went well. The surgeon Dr. Shept announced the success of the operation, and left the operating room to tell the patient's parents who were waiting outside the hospital the good news. This kind of major operation is very expensive. Dr. Shept naturally had to give as much courtesy as possible, otherwise, most of the time, it was his residents or even interns who notified them. In the island country, even if the dean took action, he would often meet with the patient's family in person and notify them personally after the operation was successful. Because under normal circumstances, before or after the operation, the patient's family would give a generous gift to thank them. This is the United States, and attending doctors like Shept who cooperate with the hospital have a split-account relationship. The thank you gift from the patient's family is already included in the high cost of the operation. After Shept left, the anesthesiologist began to get busy. The work of an anesthesiologist is a bit like that of a pilot. Preoperative visits require a detailed understanding of the patient's health status, just like checking an airplane to ensure that it takes off normally. Postoperative awakening requires ensuring that the patient wakes up from anesthesia, just like observing the runway to ensure that the plane lands safely. During the operation, it was like an airplane flying on autopilot. If there was no problem, everything was fine. If there was a problem, it had to be dealt with immediately. The patient was wheeled to the postoperative recovery room, waiting to wake up. Adam went to Ward 2 to check on Bill's condition. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.